Yes, good morning. Welcome to another week of being a Spurs fan. And I have a feeling this is going to be interesting on YouTube the next few weeks, maybe the whole of December. James Flower is with me. James, good morning. Happy Monday. Absolutely miserable shit weather here. What's it like where you are?
Yeah, it's dreadful. Gale force winds, rain. Yep, lovely.
Yeah.
December has started off how you would expect it to.
Mate, absolutely. Do you know, I went downstairs this morning. We put our tree up over the week. We've got two, one in the back room, one in the front room. I went downstairs and I was like, oh, look how pretty it is with the lights on at the front and the back before the missus went to work. And then I looked out the back door and went, oh, well, that fucking killed that. That ruined that with the pissing rain and the leaves everywhere. James, welcome to the show. Listen, just wanted a chat in general this morning, mate. I think that every time I put on a YouTube show now, every time I listen to TalkSport or whatever, it's all very much, everything's definitive. Everything needs to be right. Manager in, manager out, player in, player out. For me, I just want to have a chat in general, mate, about we are a bit of a mess as a club. We have been a bit of a mess for a long time. This shouldn't be a brand new revelation to anybody. I'll stop asking this question. Whoever the manager is, whatever the players are right now, whoever the owners are, whoever the director of football are, James, I feel like we are going to have to go through a significant period of pain. My question to you immediately is, do the fan base, because I'll go straight into it, do the fan base have the stomach for whoever the manager is for a build? Do they have the stomach to go through what could be some very dark days to start seeing some nicer ones?
Oh, absolutely not. They've proved that with the booing and they've kind of made the rod for their own back. You hear a lot of people saying, "Just go get Pochettino back." I'm all for that. Whatever. If he's to come back, look, Pochettino is always going to be one of those guys. I think, wow, you had some of the best football I've seen. There's no hard feelings there at all. But what I would say is Pochettino with the likes of Sarr, Bergval, Johnsons, Richarlisons, do we think that he's going to come in and turn those guys from crap to elite level footballers? It ain't happening. No one let's say I could be proven wrong here, but I don't know or remember any team that have come in that have been absolutely crap. One manager's come in and changed the whole thing around. I don't know if that's ever happened. What you tend to find is players start to get weaved out. Right, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You come in. And then you kind of gradually, that's what Poch did, gradually, 2 or 3. 5 years later, he's got his own squad. That takes time. But if we was to go back to Poch's first season, everyone wanted him out. Everybody was like, right, you're out. And then Harry Kane stepped up with a free kick against Villa. And now we get that, yeah, but that was the game changer. But look how long that took. And I'm sorry to say it, Harry Kane is an anomaly. That ain't happening again. We ain't getting someone like that again. That was a freak of nature that come through, an absolute elite. For me, world class, maybe the best striker in the game at the moment. So for me personally, we haven't got any of them. And look, I didn't rate Son towards the end of last season and the season before that, but he's so much better than the other birds, the Tells. Like, just because I wanted him gone doesn't mean that I wanted that rubbish in. So for me personally, no, I don't think any of these fans are prepared to go through the pain, long-term pain, short-term gain. It doesn't work like that. For me, this season, I mean, I come out after the Champions League games to you on your shows. I said, look, Frank, for me, that was unacceptable. Dropping the better players to play the weaker players against Bodo and so on. So that for me was unacceptable. But at no point am I like, right, he's got to go now. You've got to go now. It doesn't work like that. You're going to have to go through pain and disagreements before you get the rewards.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because, like, as I said, I like having the conversation where it isn't just all so black and white, right? And what I mean by that is, listen, if anyone thinks I was too harsh on Ange, fair enough. If I was harsh on him, I was harsh on him. But the more I look at Spurs as a football club now, James, as I said, last night's show proved to me in the chat that our fans, not all of them, are very, very misguided as to how good some of these footballers are. You know, I've got fans telling me that we've got a squad that should definitely be like a minimum of fourth. And I'm looking at the squad going, this would be the most, this would be the best achievement ever if this team got fourth. But we are all over as a fan base. We are all over the place. I'm not saying any of us are right, any of us are wrong. We're just all over the place. You've got fans that are right. This is going to take time. We're going to have to go through some really dark days to get to the good ones. You've got fans that are like, no, this is unacceptable. Get him out. Our XG is shit, blah, blah, blah. You've got fans that are saying it doesn't even matter who the manager is. Look at the squad. You've got some fans going, well, this squad should be top 4. You've got some fans saying we should definitely be winning a trophy. Some fans think it's acceptable to boo, and we'll come on to that later. Other fans are saying it's completely not acceptable. It's not helping anybody. We've got delusions of who the next manager should be already, James. Some people want Glasner, who's a pragmatic manager. Some people want Iriola, who's an attacking manager but can't really defend. Some people want Terzic, who the Borussia Dortmund fans were really frustrated with because he was pragmatic a lot at times. So I don't know that there's one answer to anything that's going on at this football club, James, but we all seem to have that one answer in our mind that of get rid of him now, mid-season, this is the answer. Where are you at with this? Is there a quick fix? Is there an easy answer?
I think I fall into every single box that you've just said, to be honest. and by that, I mean, the players ain't good enough. Frank isn't showing me that he's good enough. The ownership haven't backed the club, the team enough to say that they have been good enough. The fans haven't been good enough. I think proof's in the home form and the away form. I think everything that you've said, I think this is what for me, this isn't all Spurs fans, but the Spurs fans that I hate are the Frank's in at every single cost. It doesn't matter what he does. He's in. He's going to be here for the best. He's the best thing since sliced bread. And then there's the other side. Well, Frank out. He's the worst manager we've ever had. Look at the XG. Nothing's ever going to work. Get him out. Go straight away. I think that them two things are both the problem. Why can't people nowadays, you know, I always liken it to, if there was no social media, if we go back 10, 15 years, we would have met in a pub and gone, God, how crap was Sarr today? How good was James Maddison today? Frank got that completely wrong today. And then the following week, we'd go, Frank got that spot on this week, didn't he? How good was Maddison? How good was it? But it's no, it's like, no, that's it. My religion is you're out, Frank out, club out, Levy out, or Frank in. We've got, you know, the value of the players. They must be good. Look how much we paid for them. Like, why can't people be like, why can't people make up a general, like an opinion of, right, well, that ain't good enough for me. So that's that. You know, for me, Kudos, fantastic player. Odobert is terrible. But does that mean that that's it? Our front line's all terrible? No, it means that Kudos I expect a certain performance from, and Odobert I expect a different level of performance from. But for me, it just doesn't. It's just not working. And I think because the fans are so Frank in, this player in, that player out, Frank out, ownership out, Levy out, everything's different now. The kids are in charge. Like, I just think because they're so set on one opinion, the club will never change because there'll always be a massive divide. The home stadium is the proof in that. If there's a massive divide, you're never going to have 65,000 fans screaming, cheering the team on. There's always going to be a bit of a break for me.
Yeah, mate, I genuinely don't know. As I've said before, I'm old and ugly now. I've seen managers come and seen managers go, right? Spurs are the bigger priority for me over any player or any manager. They always will be, because in 10 years' time, let's be fair, none of these players will be here in a decade. And this manager,
I don't know, Ben Davies might.
Well, other than Ben Davies in his 29th season.
Yeah.
But Spurs are the priority. And the bigger issue for me here is going to be fine. Okay, like let's, as I keep saying, let's play this hypothetical world. Thomas Frank goes, fine. People get what they want. Thomas Frank goes, right. We're sitting on December the 1st, right? There's no transfer window open. The pool of managers that you can select from mid-season is that compared to the summer where you can negotiate and blah, blah. I've got this feeling that a lot of fans seem to think that there is a magic wand, that one person comes in and overnight, over 2-3 months of training, that everything's great. So, for example, what I see quite a lot is fans saying to me, "Who has Frank made better?" You know, and you're thinking, well, first of all, you know, we've had a third of the season, right? And we're hardly on the training ground because we're flying here, there, and everywhere and playing 2 games a week, right? Second of all, thinking to yourself, well, the team in general aren't playing well. So you're not really going to see too much. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes when a team is not playing well, it drags other players down. But I suppose the point I'm getting at is this, James. What manager is it that people think is going to come in right now, 1st of December, 2025, and unite the fan base? Because let's be fair, whoever they bring in, people are going to moan. It doesn't matter who it is. You're too pragmatic. You're too gung-ho. You've never won before. You've only been at Bournemouth. You've only been at Brentford. Is there that one manager that unites everybody that people will give time? Don't mean 3 months, because these fans that say, I've given him time. Is there that one manager that unites it, James?
Well, there is, but I don't necessarily think he's the right man for the job, and that's Pochettino, isn't it? That seems like he's the only guy that people will kind of give credit where credit's due, or time. But let's get it right. Pochettino, with his double training sessions and running. The first season, everyone come out and said, "This is horrible. We're running in the morning, running in the evening, running in the morning." And then after a year, it kind of clicked, and you were, "Oh, hello, here we go." But on the same side, of that, we had good footballers, and I think that's a very key thing to say. I'm not saying a good player. I'm saying a good footballer. I don't think any person, coach-wise, is going to come in and get these guys playing football, because I think we lack good footballers. I think maybe Xavi, yeah, Xavi, maybe, Porro, maybe Romero. And then I think I struggle to find a good footballer. And even then, there's some maybe.
So you've named 2 of the back 4 in a club where we want the team to play a nice brand of football, and 2 of the defenders are what you mean.
Oh, absolutely. And I really rate Kudos, and I really rate Polina, really. But for me, they're not good footballers. They know their job, they know their role. Kudos will beat his man every single time, or give you that threat, and no one is going to get a free ride from Polina. So that's not saying that they're bad players. They're very good players, but good footballers. People were saying one of the names that's been linked is Xavi. I think he's out of a job as well, isn't he? Is Xavi out of a job? I think he might be.
I think he's available from what I've seen. Yeah.
So I think he's probably the only one. And people going, Xavi, good footballer. Hold on, Puppy Sarr playing that tiki-taka role. Are we actually joking?
James,
Richarlison holding that ball up, tiki-taka football. Are you joking? Like,
James, I've made this point in the last 48 hours, right? Like, listen, I love Xavi Hernandez. I think he's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen play football. He was part of the greatest Spain and Barcelona team ever. And his Barcelona team that he managed played nice football. And people say he works with youth. Tick. Yes, he does. People say he plays nice football. Tick. Yes, he does. But let's see, the level of footballers and the level of youth players he had at Barcelona we're talking about La Masia. Right, we're talking about the best young players in world football that grow up playing technical football. They grow up. Like, I don't know if anyone ever does their homework on La Masia. What they do throughout, from the age of 6 through to the first team, is all the teams play the same way. So what happens is when you move into the next age group, they go, we need the number 8 in this team. They don't play the traditional 6, but we need the number 8 in this team. Right, promote that guy, because you know what? He knows it. He slots in and does the same thing. The problem is, and I've got no problem if Xavi was ever to be Spurs manager, Xavi would rock up, and on the training ground, can you imagine him and his coaches in training session 1 would be like, how on earth are we going to play keep ball possession football with these footballers? Then people will say, don't worry. As long as we see what the plan is, as long as we see a strategy with his style of football. So what happens is the first 3-4 games, everyone's on a high. They're running through brick walls for the manager, and the fans are up for it. And it's great. You win a few games and we all go, oh, fucking, I told you. Frank was shit. Xavi is amazing. Then as the players settle back into, hang on, that adrenaline's gone, and we're now going to settle back to being the normal player we are, the style of play, we will just see a million passes getting missed every game because we're not technically good enough on the ball. The defeats start coming in, and you know what we get back to? We get back to who are we buying in the transfer window, because this manager needs loads and loads of players. But by then, everyone's pissed off. We've had 12, 13 games. It's not gone well. And this is what I've said, James. Sorry for the rant. This is what I've said.
No.
Bring in any manager. Right now, bring in any manager you want. But they are going to need January, the summer. They are going to need to be able to get rid of Johnson, Richarlison, Davis, whoever people don't want, Basuma, Vicario, Bentancur, whichever names, Odeberst, Health, whoever the manager is, James, this is a huge job. And our fans, not all of them are going, but he's had 4 new players. You're like, 4? He's had 4 new players. Like, we think that is what this... I don't know the answer, James. I don't know.
No. Well, I don't think there is an answer. I think people are trying to put an answer together rather than actually just see what happens, or act. If that's the way the club goes, and that's the way the club goes. But the club have come out and said we had a list of 30 candidates. Everything all tick from Frank. Look, I don't know if Frank's going to be the right guy. Like I said, he isn't showing me anything to go, you know what, get behind that. I really get behind that, I can see. But the one thing I will say is, if Frank, say for example, the weekend, and we don't know what Frank's asking, but if Frank's asking Vicario to take more time on the ball and play more passes, if he makes mistakes like that week in, week out, because Frank's asking him to play out from the back and he can't play out from the back, look at the reception he got. So if we have Xavi come in and Xavi's going, right, I want you to pass, and we have Polina, who I rate, can't fulfill that passing need, gives the ball away every time, concedes goals every time. Are we going to turn on Polina like we did Vicario because he's expected to play a certain way that he's not capable of? No, I like Vicario. He's never going to be a tiki-taka goalkeeper. Never. So if somebody comes in and expects that brand of football from Polina, Mickey van der Ven, I don't think he's good enough on the ball to play that kind of tiki-taka. I think he's fantastic at football, but his tiki-taka football is I think there's a problem. So there's so many things that you could say. Say for example, Xavi walked in and went, right, Romero and Van der Ven, you ain't good enough. I want a ball player, a Botman, and somebody else who's just going to play football out from the back. Not as good defensively, but just wants to play football out the back. Our fans would be going, what's he doing? He's selling our best players. Well, why is he doing? What's this guy like? For me, at some point, we're going to have to say, you know what? We'll at least give him a season and say, right, okay, that weren't good enough. Or we have to wait until he's getting 10, 11, 12, 13 defeats to go, you're way out of your depth. We've given you some players. We expect a little improvement. There has been none. But for me, 10, 12, 13 games isn't enough. And in those 10, 12, 13 games, in fairness to him, we may have had 5 or 6 good games. So realistically, 7 or 8 bad games and we're looking to get rid of a manager.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because you saw when he first came in. I think this is a really good point from Peter Simon. Said it started good with Frank. Defense was better, but fans started moaning about the football. And I always maintained that I felt that he was playing the way he was playing because I think he knows we're not good enough. And I think for me, his remit was almost not from the club, but to himself was almost like, right, let me get to the next window. Right, do you know what I mean? Let me hang on in there. Let me get to the next window. Problem is, as we've all started asking for more, have you noticed Frank started to do more of what we want as fans? If you notice, like changed it for the PSG game. He changed it for the Arsenal game. He then changed it again for the Fulham game. And this is where I think that Frank kind of needs to go back. Forget us. We're fans. We're going to make noise, whatever, right? That's our job. But I think he kind of needs to go back to pick the 11 that you think is what's best for you and Spurs right now. Don't worry about us. James, we're going to moan whatever, right? As a collective, we're going to moan whatever this man does. So for me, I think he needs to go back to, right, forget us. If you think Paulinho and Bentancur, just for example, if you think that's what you need to do until you can get a new midfielder, do it. fuck the fans off, right? If you think that Odegaard is your left winger or Johnson is your left winger do it. Forget us. Do it. I think he's trying to make too many fans happy, right? I know he says, "Oh, I don't see the media." I don't believe any of that when the managers say that. I think he needs to go back to that. I think he needs to, by hook or crook, scrape through to January. And I think he needs to be, they might have had this conversation, James. I think he needs to be knocking on the door of the board and going, right, in Jan, by hook or crook, I need this position and this position as a minimum. I need it as a minimum. I need to see, I don't care if it's a loan, I need to see this or this. My worry right now, James, is with the fixtures he's got coming up, has he got the affordability to do that? And will he see it through to January? I'm not saying sack him, but you can see the noise. You can see the vitriol. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, we don't know if those conversations have already happened behind. He may have said, look, we're losing the ball in the midfield all the time. I need somebody there. There's no point having Xavi here. He's getting the ball looking forward. We have no left or right winger running. You know, Kudus has been great with the balls at his feet. Nothing's on the left-hand side. Like, he may have said, right, we need a striker, a left winger, and a ball player midfielder because we're just struggling. So that's where I kind of do give him a bit of leeway. But at the same time, he can't keep producing what he's producing either. Sure. You know, the pragmaticness of what he is doing isn't acceptable. You know, a lot of people say, look at the squad, and also me. But we do have Xavi, we do have Kudus, we do have Muani, who I don't think, he hasn't done anything just yet, but he looks like there's something in there. He does have Polinia. The back four for me are good. They're all right. So he should be one or the other. We should be good defensively. We should be good attackingly. We should almost be creating chances and allowing Richarlison to miss, or getting the ball to Odegaard and allowing his crosses to be overhit. Or there should be something where you can go, oh, okay, his hands are tied there. But I feel like what you're saying, he's maybe trying to find a solution to everything when sometimes the players are just not good enough. So just try and implement how I feel. I would like a manager to come in, whether it's him or someone else, and implement their philosophy. This is how we're going to play. Because what I feel, if he's going to go 4-2-1 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever he's going to play, at least when we do get the new players in, they slot straight into their position. Everybody already knows how they're playing. So it's like, say, for example, we was to sign a number 8. All the team is playing one way. You pick up Bentancur and you drop in Edison. I don't know, first name coming to my mind. Someone like that. So then you've now got your team still flowing. Whereas I feel what he's doing is, right, that's not working. Let me play Richarlison and Muani up front, just to try and get the best out of Richarlison. It's like, but then when we do sign a good single striker, or Solanke's the main guy, whatever, you've then got to then start training a new philosophy, a new style. Right, now let's start again. And that for me is why I feel personally Frank is struggling under the circumstances of pick your philosophy, drill your philosophy, and then what will happen is you should be backed, and then we should be going, right, now we can see that's working.
It would almost be better if he was playing one game a week this season, wouldn't it? And listen, look, obviously we want Champions League football and the club want the revenue, but I read a really good article yesterday. Was it The Athletic or someone? I can't remember. And it was saying that, Thomas Frank needs time on the training ground, and he's not getting that with a number of games a week and with the squad the way it is, and they said what you said, but at the same time he has got to show green shoots and he's got to show a philosophy. And this is why I think that I'm not losing my mind with Spurs. I think it's a mess. I think that obviously if I put a title like Boo's Apologies in One Big Mess, people go, oh my God, Savva's having a go. I'm not having a go. I think it's a big mess. And I said in the summer, I think this is going to be years to sort out. I know fans want it sorted out in a few months. I think this is going to be years, James. And I look at, like, we've got to the stage where people have started to say the silly things like, oh, Sunderland don't have a better squad. Look at Sunderland. Sure. Sunderland also are on that new Premier League bounce, right? They're coming off a high in terms of the club's just got promoted, right? The manager's been there a while, right? and it's one game a week for the manager, right? So he can get them up for that game once a week and go, right, this is my 11. You all know how you play. Boom. In the grand scheme of things, Sunderland doing well at this moment in time has nothing to do with Tottenham. I know our fans want to link the two together. It's nothing to do with the shit that's going on at Spurs. Then when you look at Eddie Howe, Eddie Howe's had 4 and a half years at Newcastle, done a really good job, built a good squad, level on points with Spurs, right? Because everything isn't plain sailing. Everyone doesn't just go like that. Then you look at Villa, Unai Emery. What's he been there now? 3.5 years that Unai Emery's been Aston Villa, right? You look at Arteta at Arsenal. He's been there, 6 years? Pep's been at Man City for 9 years. 9 years. Right? I'm looking around. Hertzler at Brighton. What's he been there? 2.5 years? I don't know the exact numbers, right? All of these clubs that you see, Bournemouth, all of these clubs that people keep comparing us to, their managers haven't just turned up, right? Their managers haven't just turned up, inherited a mess, and need to change things. And that's where I think that I'll say it, and this will piss a lot of fans off, James, but you know me by now, I think, right? Our fans say dumb stuff. Look at Sunderland. They don't have a better squad. Sure, but that's got nothing to do with the predicament we're in right now. Years and years of buying poorly, finishing 70. It's just got nothing to do with that. Playing twice a week. Look at this manager's amazing. This manager's amazing. I think we say some pretty stupid stuff. And if this continues, I think that this club will go down at some point. I don't mean this year. I think if we keep pushing for this every 3 or 4 months and don't allow someone to build or someone to go through this pain, I can see this club dropping out the Premier League. And then we will all look back and go, well, we kind of deserve it, because at no point did anybody get some proper years to build. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think personally, I think that the club will always back enough to not drop down. I think that they will always invest enough money to sort of keep us in the league. But I think it's one of those that I don't disagree with you. And not just, the people that complain about Frank going are also the people that are complaining 18 managers in the last 20 years or whatever it is. You know what I mean? They're also the same people going, yeah, well, Levy fires everybody every 2 minutes.
Right.
Oh, actually, let's get Frank out as well. Well, hold on a minute. We've still got players there from Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, and now Frank. So there's 5, 6 players or 5 or 6 managers that have had players bought for them. No wonder we can't play one style of football. We've got wing backs for me that suit Conte. We've got a centre-back in Romero that suits Jose Mourinho and a Polina that suits Jose Mourinho. You've got a centre-back that suits Ange and Van der Ven. Like, we've got so many different players for different managers, and we're going, well, Frank, why can't you gel everybody and just be good?
Yeah.
They're not bad footballers. Like I said, for me, Polina I rated so highly. I don't know if he would get in a Xavi team, but that doesn't mean that he's not a good player. It just means, when Arteta come in, didn't he get rid of Xhaka, Aubameyang, Lacazette? Like, he was like, they're good players, but they don't fit my team. Out you go. Like, at some point, we're going to have to go, you know what? These are good players. They don't fit his system. We need to sell and rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, James, I don't think you've listened to a word I said. But again, look how arrogant our fans are. Completely just dismissive of Villa and Newcastle and the job they've done. Do you know what Villa and Newcastle have done I'm talking to this, James, the poster. Villa and Newcastle have stabilised themselves in the last 3 or 4 years. Villa and Newcastle were stuck with a manager, let them get rid of loads of players, let them bring loads of players in, and have stabilised. And when I see things like, oh, but we're better than... We're not at the moment. We're not. Spurs need to stabilise. We really do need to stabilise. We have to stop talking, right? We've got to stop talking as though this is the Tottenham that was challenging for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. This is not that Spurs. We are not that club right now.
Right.
It doesn't give me any pleasure saying that, James, right? But sometimes, and I think you can tell the ages of some fans, I think the older fans can take a step back and go, we're not that club anymore, right? My favourite era in the last 30 years in the Premier League era wasn't actually Poch, right? My favourite era was Harry Redknapp. That doesn't mean I didn't love it under Poch, but my favourite era was Harry Redknapp. I look back to that era of Harry Redknapp and go, well, why did we play good football? Well, Spurs had people like Gareth Bale, Luka Modric, Nico Cranchaw, Tommy Huddleston, Rafa van der Vaart, all these players that were very technically competent, very good on the ball, great first touch. You had flying players as well, like Aaron Lennon and Bale, who could do it all, but to mix it up, you had people like Peter Crouch who were holding the ball up, bringing others into the game. Players like Jermaine Defoe who would score goals. I look at that era, I look at them Poch's era, and then I look at this era. And when you've got fans going, we should be there. And I'm going, why? Like, why do you think we should be there? We all criticize the players. We all criticize Levy. It's funny, right? By the way, all the people that were so adamant everything was Levy's fault, they don't have Levy this year, right? So everything now, all the energy has gone on to Frank. Now I get it. I'm not going to sit here and defend Frank for my life, but in years gone by, the answer would have been, well, it doesn't matter who's manager. Yeah, Levy hasn't backed him. This year, it's everything's on Frank. I look at this and say to myself, whether we should be doing better or not, we all know we should be doing better, right? I look at this and say to myself, whoever is here, we need years, James. We need years. We keep comparing to, yeah, but that manager did this, but that manager did that. I keep hearing, oh, but look at Iriola. Well, Iriola rocked up to Bournemouth and didn't win a game for 11. Like, imagine Thomas Frank hadn't won a game for 11 at Tottenham. We would have. So I think our fans, we've got to first of all understand, what is it that we want, James? We got to stop. And I mean, short, medium, long term. Not what do we want? We want to win the league. Great, but that's nonsense. What do we want? How do we get there? Because right now, people comparing us to Reggie Labrie, people going, oh, I'd take Reggie Labrie. Would you? Did you know who he was last season?
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's crazy, man. It's all too much.
And I think that's exactly the problem. I feel like you kind of have a high and then you're expected to be at that high. You know, Pochettino getting to the Champions League final, and now apparently we're a Champions League final team. You know what I mean? Like, there's two can be wrong at the same time. I think that, okay, we was there, we had players there, but then you could then go, well, you know, Levy didn't then kick on. Liverpool kicked on after that. They continued spending money and buying players and moving up and up and up, whereas we didn't, you know. But then at the same time, we can't be then slating the manager and then praising people like Tell and Odebert. Like, what do you want? Because if you want Tell and Odebert and they're good players, how many managers are we going to stick up for or get rid of, to stick up for these players? At what point are we going to go, you know what, they're not very good? Yeah, but they're young. I don't really care, to be honest. I think if they're on that football pitch, they need to be judged for what they're doing on their football pitch. You know, it's not a matter of, well, what about Odebert in 5 years? Well, that's all well and good. I don't care about 5 years at the moment. I want to see something now. These guys are not producing now. Frank, in fairness, isn't producing anything now. So I get that sort of criticism. But there has to be some sort of, you know what, we've brought in Kudos. Kudos has been good. We've brought in Pelini. Pelini has been good. That's two. If we only say if we said they're the only two good footballers we brought in the summer, then that's two, like, that's 50% hit rate. That's better than what we've been doing in the previous. You know, your Pape Sarr's coming in, your Archie Gray's coming in, Bergvall looks okay, nowhere near ready for the Premier League, in my opinion. Or maybe last 10, 15 minutes of a sub, maybe he could do that part, fair enough. Your Richarlisons, your Solankis, your Odeberts, your Tells, none of them are good enough. They're not good enough.
But every week, though, we do this dance with fans, don't we? The same fans that want to critique Frank, you're right, are the same ones calling for Tell, Odebert, Bergvall, Gray, right? The same ones, like, for example, I've said this for a while, and I've been slated for this, James. I look at Udogie and Porro, and I go, you're not going to achieve anything with Udogie and Porro at fullback. Now, maybe in a wing-back system with a team that plays, like maybe at Palace, Udogie and Porro would be excellent because of how Glasner plays. But I've said for years, I don't actually think they're good fullbacks. But you start speaking to people about, right, let's buy some fullbacks. What? He's better than Udogie? Yes. Like people say to me, like, what, Lewis Hall at Newcastle? Yeah, I watched Lewis Hall at Newcastle and go, yeah, you're a good left back. Not the world, not.
I want Robinsons from Fulham.
Right. But yeah, I was, that's my point. Robinson, Hall, these players are, I'm not saying they're world class, but they are left back.
7 out of 10. Well, 7 out of 10 week in, week out. Yeah.
Luca Digne, again, not the world's best. He is a out and out left back that does his job. We seem to have a lot of players that don't really have a set position. What is Tell? I keep hearing Tell's a left winger. Then I'm hearing he's a forward. Then I'm hearing he's an inside forward. What is Kulu? What is Brennan Johnson? Right? What is Gray? Last year, everyone told me he's a 6, he's a 6, he's a 6. This year, he's an 8, he's an 8, he's an 8, right? What is Bergvall? Some people say he's a 10. Others are saying he's an 8. Some people are saying he's deep lying. What is Porro? Right? Do you get my point? We have bought so poorly for years, right? But if we're going to praise the average players, right, then we're never going to have a manager that's good enough for these fans because they are expecting managers to come in with the average players. I'm not expecting to win leagues, by the way, but they're expecting them to come in and make them play really good football. Look at Tell against United. Odegaard against United. Odegaard had a good 15-minute cameo at the end of the game against Man United when Diallo went to right wing back for United and he roasted him a few times and he got the assist. Look at what our fan base did after that game. We were talking about him like he was Gareth Bale.
Yeah.
Right? I look at players like Odegaard and Tell and go, you should be nowhere. I'm not blaming those two, by the way. I look at Gray. I look at Bergvall. I look at Sarr. These people don't get in at Villa. They don't get in at Newcastle. And these are the teams we're trying to catch. So, mate, I don't know. I don't know where we go from it, but I do want to ask you a question to change things up, if that's all right.
Just to add to that thing you said about Porro, I said at the beginning, I got ripped. I said at the beginning of the season, if you have someone like Porro, and I'm not saying I want this guy, but you need someone like Chris Wood in the box. You do. For me, if you had Pedro Porro right back, and you had somebody of the stature of a Chris Wood who's going to win that ball week in, week out, game in, game out in the air, he's going to win it most headers, he's going to win the hold-up play. For me, then Porro becomes from a 6 to an 8 because the amount of balls that he whips in that we just don't win, not necessarily all of them are bad balls, not necessarily all of them are good balls, but the amount of balls we actually put into the box, it's ridiculous. Again, it's like it looks like Frank's way is let's get them balls in the box. Kudos, you beat your man. If you can't beat your man, drop it to Porro, whip it into the box. That seems, from my opinion, what his sort of tactics are. But he's whipping the balls into the box to who? And that's not necessarily Frank's fault. He doesn't have the players for his formation. Brentford, he had Ivan Toney, who was winning everything in the air. So he could whip those balls in, and he had Ivan Toney knocking all the goals in. So for me, again, it's that whole
over time, right, James?
Exactly,
Brentford, it didn't work immediately. When he first went to Brentford, they didn't like him, right?
Yep.
And he said that when he started at Spurs, he said these things take a long time. And I get it. People want to see green shoots. And James, I'm not being a hypocrite. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't think any football fan does. But as I said, if you keep buying footballers that don't naturally pass a football, it's like comments like this make me laugh. Like when he's like, some of these guys cannot hit a pass. Yeah, Chris, why? Because we've bought footballers that don't naturally pass the football. We've bought Sarr, who is a runner. Bergvall, who is a runner. Paulinho, who is a destroyer, right? Odegaard, Tell, Johnson. These are runners. Mawani is a runner. Richie is a runner. If you want to get players passing a football, bring in players who pass a football. So, for example, when I watch Sunderland, everything Sunderland do goes through one man, right? Everything Sunderland do goes through Granit Xhaka. Now, people will moan and laugh because he's ex-Arsenal. Granit Xhaka is a quality footballer that's played at the top level in world football, right? He's gone into Sunderland. He sits in the midfield, and everything he does, he sits and dictates. The players around him are powerful and strong and run, right? That's what Sunderland have done. Spurs have not got that. Spurs have not got a midfielder as good as Granit Xhaka. Let that sink in, James. So we talk about Sunderland getting promoted. They went and bought a midfielder better than any midfielder at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So when we're talking about whose fault is it, and look at these squads sign what they need, right? We not about they've signed the greatest players. They've signed what they need. Spurs don't ever sign what we need. We need a left winger. What do we buy? Don't buy one.
No,
We need a ball-playing midfielder. What do we buy? Nothing. Instead, Sarr stays, Bergvall stays, Gray stays, Basuma stays, Bentancur stays. Yeah. Mate, nothing's going to change until the recruitment changes at this football club. I'm telling you. I know it's an unpopular opinion, James. The recruitment has been, and this is where Lubo is spot on, the recruitment has been horrific for years and years and years.
Agree. Yep, completely agree.
So, look, you know, we talk about bringing in winners. I want to talk about the booing in a minute. We talk about bringing in winners. I just take people back to Conte and Jose. What happens when we brought in winners? They got frustrated, right? Because why? Because the recruitment we gave them was shit, right? Jose and Conte are true winners. They made the best of what they had because they both had Kane and Son in their peak, right? Both those two managers had, I mean, what would Kane and Son between them would have been getting 60, 70 GA a season between them, something like that. They were winners. What happened? So when I see fans in these WhatsApp groups, I mean, I'm not in any, but I hear all the shit that goes on, right? People going, we need a winner. What does that even mean? Like, what is a winner coming in and doing with this squad in the Premier League?
Yeah.
James,
no, I agree.
Pep Guardiola rocks up right now. What are we winning?
Nothing. Well, yeah, nothing. I mean, Pep Guardiola, a long time ago, when he signed up for City, didn't they win the league and then finish 4th or 5th the first season under Pep? Was it 4th or 5th they finished? I think they won the league. Okay, because I'm sure when Mancini won the league and then he come in and dropped down to 4th and everyone's going, this guy's a joke. He can't play this way in the Prem. This is different. And now he's one of the most decorative managers in world football or in the Premier League. So for me, again, I'm not saying Frank's the one, but at some point we're going to have to let a manager get his players and try his philosophy before we kind of start hounding everybody out.
Yeah. By the way, just quickly, I mean, Carlson, think about it. Spain are the best team in world football, right? Spain, if you actually go and watch Spain dominate the ball for 90 minutes. It's okay. You can be a non-right back properly in that system because you are doing very little defending. In a team where you are not Spain, you need to be able to defend, and he can't. It's the exact same as Trent Alexander-Arnold. When he's playing for all those years at Liverpool in that weird hybrid right back role where he can go into midfield, that's great. If you put him into a team like ours and said, right, defend, he wouldn't be able to defend. No. So,
well, isn't it fair to say? I mean, not comparing the two teams. I'm genuinely not. But for me, the best team in world football to watch and sort of follow is probably PSG. Like, I think they're probably the best team in world football. You could go, wow, what a team. He walked in, Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. 3 best players in the world, maybe? Gone. You can't play the football I want to play. Gone.
Yep.
In we go. And then now look, people are going, wow, what a brand of football. Look what we're doing. Again, I'm not saying Frank's going to do that. But at some point, I mean, who went, why have PSG done a good thing there selling Mbappe? No one. Who went, yeah, Messi's gone. Yeah, he's rubbish. No one. So at some point, you're going to have to kind of stick with something to get any kind of reward from it.
No, I agree. Look, and by the way, this is my point with all of this, right? Isn't dying on a hill for anyone. I said this last night, James. I think there's a lot of this blame pie to go around, right? I don't rate the squad. I think the manager doesn't know what he's doing with the squad. I don't rate the recruitment. I mean, everyone went, oh, these 4 players we brought in. Let's be brutally honest, right? It was so poorly thought out, that transfer window, right? It was so poorly thought out. Right, Kudus, you went and got in. They wanted him, they got him. Great, that was good. Paulinho, we went and got on a loan, and I'm thinking, okay, you've got him on a loan. Kick that can down the road. You've got more money now to go and buy players.
And it looked like Morgan Gibbs White as well. In fairness to the club, it looked like they tried to do that as well.
Sure. But my point is this: is that we kicked the can down the road with a striker and a DM on loan. And then all we managed to do, other than that, was sign 2 players for transfer. I'm not going to count Takai at 5 million as a kid centre back. All we managed to do was buy Xavi Simons, who was like the 4th choice. I like him, by the way. I think he's going to come good. But all we managed to do was buy Kudus and Simons for actual money, right? When you look at that, what sort of planning is that? What sort of plan is it? Now look at Arsenal, and I'm sorry, I know. Now look at Arsenal, what they did this summer. Arsenal turned around and went, everyone just said, all Arsenal need is a striker, right? Arsenal went, no. We're going to buy 7 to add to this squad. I think it's 7. They went and bought Kepa as a number 2 goalkeeper. I mean, what a brilliant number 2 keeper that is. Whatever people think of Kepa, if that's your number 2, you're doing something right. They go and buy Mosquera and Hincapi as 2 centre-back rotational players. One can play at left back as well. Right, that's 3 players. They go and get Norgard to add some experience to replace the experience for Jorginho. And Norgard can just be a squad rotational player. They go and buy Zubamendi to replace Partey. That's 5. They then go and get Madueke to add more options on the wing. Right? They go and get Eze, right, as another playmaker when they've already got Odegaard, Trossard, Martinelli, Waneri, and Mikel Merino. That's 7. And then they add Gyökeres as an 8, right? So you now tell me, where are Arsenal weak in their squad? Anywhere.
No, agreed.
Right?
Nowhere.
Now, I'm not expecting us to be Arsenal. I'm not. They're 6 years down the line. Look at that. And then I go and look at what we've done. And I go, right. So we bought in a right winger. Love it. Love Kudus. We bought in a DM on loan. Cool. Okay, on loan. We bought in a striker on loan who wasn't fit. So straight away, he can't come in and hit the ground running because he's not fit. And we've bought in Xavi Simons after the season started. So he had no pre-season with us and clearly needs time to acclimatise to the Premier League. What sort of a plan is that, James?
No, it's none. The only thing I would kind of half disagree with, or not disagree with, but add a point to it, is, and it'll probably roll on to the next subject, to be fair, is I'm not expecting us to be Arsenal either, but with the ticket prices we do pay, and the fans pay, and the kits that we do pay, and everything else is in the memorabilia, the go-kart track, the walks around the state, all of it. I do actually expect us to be bringing in 4 or 5 players. Whether that's that level, we can't be bringing in that level because we're not there yet. They're the ones that are kind of coming in and going, yeah, you're the final sprinkle on the top cherry. We need to get that cake before we start putting cherries. But what I would expect is, I don't know, an Elliot Anderson. Right, well, there's 60 million. I want Elliot Anderson. He will come. There's the money. Off we go. If we're going to go down the left winger side, I want Adeyemi. 60 million, Adeyemi, here you come in now. If we're going to look at a striker and you're going to pick whoever you want, right, 60 million, in you come. There's 3. You can go, right, they're not the top quality that we need, but we have done is we've invested in the squad. All of those players are better than the players that we have. So for me, I expect us to be spending more. I think, what did we spend? 100 million? Who did we actually sign?
Yeah, I think we spent money. I think it was 55.
Xavi and Tudor.
Was it 50 in the end for Xavi?
So say 120 because there was a few little odds and sods. So 120 million when you've just finished 17th in the table.
Right.
Look, I completely
And you're
agree
going
with
into the
fans.
Champions League.
Absolutely. I completely agree with fans hitting the ceiling over that. I would go, you know what? You can't argue against that. You know, we're now going from Europa League, who Odebert struggled in Europa League, Champions League. Go on, Odebert, what can you do? Hold on. He was struggling in Europa League. Now he's in the big league. And you're going, well, you struggled there, but let's see what you can do this season then. It don't work like that. It doesn't
And,
work like that.
and that's why. And that's why. And a big up Maz. It was, I think this is Maz. It is, isn't it? I said all the things you are blaming is because of Levy. When you do root cause analysis, yeah. But the thing is, Maz, all the people that were blaming Levy, and I'm cool with blaming Levy, suddenly have made it out as though like the new manager has had a completely new chairman for 5, 6, 7 windows and has been backed. And look, I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Look, James, I completely get it, right? And I want to move into that. I want to move into that now. And look, there's and Destiny, when you say stinks of a Levy plan, do you know what it just stinks of to me? It stinks of no plan, Destiny, right? The signing of Xavi and Mawani in the last 3 or 4 days of the window made people go, we've signed 4 really good players. And I'm thinking, but there was no plan. There was no plan to this. If Spurs had a plan, players would have been in ready for pre-season training. And I see fans all the time say, James, I don't care when they come in as long as they come in. If you're a manager, you want to be taking Xavi Simons on pre-season tour, for example. You want to be taking him on pre-season tour and seeing, right, okay, is he good enough to play in that position? Okay, I need to get 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But instead, we're having to do that during the season, right? This is why we're going to see in the January and the summer, what's the plan? Whoever the manager is, what's the plan? Stop giving players to managers at the end of the transfer window. If there's an opportunistic moment, yes, I get it, right? If you're buying a ready-made footballer, I get it. But when you are buying unknowns, when you are buying a Mawani who's not fit and an unknown, when you are buying a Simmons who's not got Premier League experience and unknown, what are we expecting? Look, James, I want to talk about the booing. Look, this is a really it's a sensitive subject, right? And I get it. So when I ask, should booing be okay? People go, yeah, we pay money. Yes, they're paid good money, the players. Yes, because we want to see better. I think we can clearly see, James, from the way the players are, I'm not saying this is right, their mentalities, we haven't bought those players with those winning mindsets. We've not bought those players that are leaders. We've got a lot of young, fragile footballers. I think we are seeing, James, that the booing, if you strip back from a fan perspective, it is affecting the players. That's my opinion. I don't see what good it does booing these players. That's just me. And I'm not going to go along with the just man up thing because it's such a caveman way of thinking. What do you think about the booing?
So I personally would never do it. And I think the way it was done was nothing sort of absolutely disgusting, to be honest. Absolutely disgusting. I don't believe that you should be booing players. I don't believe you should be booing at half time either. I think but if you wanted to express that at the end of the game, fine. That for me is acceptable. You've paid your money. You've gone and seen the whole show, the whole game, the whole whatever. You wasn't happy at the end. Express your feelings. I get it. But to boo individuals, I mean, booing at half time, players know that they've had a bad game. I mean, I still play a little bit of football. I know when I'm playing crap. Do you know what I mean? I know that. I don't need everyone going, you're crap, you're crap. I know. So to boo it, I think it just naturally adds more pressure, more shaky moments, more nerves, more don't want to take that second touch because I'm being booedy. Let me get rid of that ball. I feel like sometimes when you boo, you make players rush and play games they don't want to play because they don't want to take the slack. And I know that's where people will say, man up, do X, Y, Z, do this, do that. But at the same time, for me, I think that we should be supporting the players, and at the end of the game, if you want to boo, then have your moment. For me, during the game, you should back the team, back the manager. I didn't want Ange in at all, but the moment we started that game, it was like, right, come on, Spurs. I'm a Spurs fan, so come on, boys, let's see what we can do. I just don't see, like what you said, how it helps. They're moaning we're not winning games, and then they're
Right.
booing.
I get
How
it,
does that
right?
help?
I get that fans have the right to boo. I'm not knocking that. I'm just asking a question. I just don't know who it's helping. I get that it lets a bit of frustration for the fans off, but right now, the situation we're in, I don't know who it helps. That's the problem. Let's be fair. The aim of all of this is that we want to see improvement. We want to see players confident. We want to see players better. I just don't know who it helps. And you can clearly see, right? Because yesterday, James, you had things like this come out, right? Yesterday, you had you've got Tell coming out saying in this time we have to stick together and keep pushing forward. You've got this type of stuff, which drives me mad, but it is what it is. Thank you for staying with us, right? We never take your support for granted. You got Porro coming out saying football is about emotions, and I don't like it when my teammates are disrespected. Yada yada. And you've got Matt Law and Sam Wallace of the Telegraph saying that the fans are feeling a disconnect. Sorry, the players are feeling a disconnect with the fans, and I get it. When we live in this world of boo, yeah, boo, man up, and you've got to get a better mentality. The problem is the mentality isn't there. It isn't there, James. Whether we want it there or not, this isn't a group of Beckhams,
Agreed.
Roy Keanes, Nevilles, Giggs. This isn't those players with those mindsets. Now, whether that's right or wrong, right now, I feel like this is just all going to spiral into a vicious circle. And
I just don't see how it helps. I really don't get. Yeah, I don't get how it helps. I don't get how slating people. I actually got. I've stuck up for Vicario a lot this season, but I've also criticised him a lot as well. But people choose to not look at that bit. They go, "Oh, you said he's amazing." I think he's a fantastic shot stopper. I think he ain't as bad as he's made out to be. I don't think he's the right. We need to replace him now. We're going to be a better team for it. And I also don't think he's the best keeper in the world either. But I got sent a few videos, and the ball's in the other end of the pitch, and the fans are not booing him. They are saying some rank things, and you're like, yeah, well done. He's definitely gonna play better now. You've supported the team, and this is where, look, a lot of people are saying what Frank said was wrong. He said it the wrong way. Maybe he did say it the wrong way, and I'd probably agree with that. But what he said for me isn't not true. Us are there supporters. Supporters mean you support them. You help them. You cheer them on. What happened to the 12th man at home? It was always right. Get behind the team, 12th man. What our fans are doing, I mean, to boo people individually, I'm sorry, that's coward. That you're not supporting that club. You're not supporting the club. And I'm not just saying that because it's Vicario. They did exactly the same to Davison Sanchez. It is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And I completely understand what Porro and Frank said. Look, you could have said it a different way, agreed, but I don't disagree.
Listen, listen, there are players that I don't rate. I don't rate Odegaard. I don't rate Tell. I don't rate Johnson. I would never boo them. The way I see it is some of these players, this is their quality. Booing them doesn't make them better. I get it, right? If you've got, well, I don't get it, but if you've got top players that are not turning it on, you know, like if you've got really top players and for weeks and weeks they're not turning it on, I get it. But me booing a player that I don't rate, I don't get how that makes them better. We know Vicario's not good with his feet, right? We know that. We know, and I think who did I see? Somebody today. I saw a YouTube short of an ex-pro who said, they said, don't you think the moment that ball left Vicario's feet, he knew he fucked up, right? The moment he done it, we knew he fucked up. Right.
I watched that, and I think I saw the same thing. And he said, it showed you a clip of he turns around, starts to sort of run, looks at him. He's played that ball, and then he kind of starts walking and jogging, head down. He knew instantly.
Right. And look, Yeah, I'm in my chat room going, "Oh, Vicario, what have you done? That is criminal." But he knew what he'd done, right? These mistakes that happen, these mistakes will continue to happen because James, I'll say it over and over and over again. The players aren't good enough, right? The mistakes will continue to happen, right? We highlight them more, but at the moment, whether or not we think the booing is acceptable, that is my big question. Who is it helping? Right now, if I'm a Spurs player, I am down on my knees. If I'm a Spurs player right now, if I'm Frank, we're down on our knees. We're shit. Results have not been going our way. Right. How do we galvanize and get out of this mess? How do we right? Now, we look at ourselves, but we also look to our fans, right? And I think at the moment, there needs to be some sort of concerted effort that both these players need to lift themselves and put more effort in. And I think the fans need to go, right, okay, we know it's not great, but this isn't helping. And the thing is, sure, fans have had enough, but the problem is, Yoav, these players aren't going anywhere, right? There's no magic answer. These players aren't going anywhere.
I've had enough. I've had enough. For me personally, I think booing single players could go up there with like bullying and stuff. Like I just think that's disgusting. So I've had enough. And don't give me the right to just start insulting people and being horrible. Like grow up. Like for me personally,
yeah, but we've got this mentality that everybody is a spoilt brat. Vicario isn't a spoilt brat because he made a mistake and got booed. Vicario isn't.
And what about if we said
this one size fits all? Like, I hate this notion that everybody is going to receive that criticism in the same way. The players are coming out clearly and showing it is not helping them. Right now, whether or not I think they need better mentalities, whether I think we need players with winning mentality, that's a different scenario. These players, the ones we currently have, James, that we can do nothing about until transfer windows, they are clearly saying to us, it's not helping. Fans then go on like Dan and go, yeah, sod them, just do it because they need a winning mentality. But they haven't got that mentality, right? So booing them, you've already told us they've not got it. They're soft. Brilliant. If you know they're soft, James, booing them does what? It makes them go into their shell more. If you want winning mentality, if you want leaders, if you want men, buy them. Go and buy them. But we can't, if you're going to boo these people that are soft already, don't expect a reaction against Newcastle. Because against Newcastle, they're going to shit themselves. So how the brain works.
Yeah, my opinion on this as well is, say, for example, almost going back to what we were saying earlier, say, for example, Xavi comes in. For me, Frank has come in and he's asked Vicario to play more with his feet. We're now seeing more and more and more mistakes from Vicario. Why? He can't play out with his feet. So what we're now doing is we're going to boo that player and get on his back for Frank coming in and asking him to play his system. How about we sell him, getting a player that can play Frank's system, and things will get better? Isn't that what we were just saying? Like, for me, booing I will never. It's not right for me. Booing players isn't right. Boo at halftime, I think that's harsh. I think that's really harsh. I don't think that helps the game. Boo at full time, I wouldn't do it. Completely understand it. People pay their money to see a certain thing, and I think this is again where it falls on the club. You charge top dollar and buy in people like Brendan Johnson. That's not acceptable. So me personally, I completely understand it. Completely understand it. The money that we're being charged for that is diabolical. The money we're being charged for kits, it's 120 quid for me to buy my 12-year-old a football kit. 120 quid to win 3 games at home. Like, it ain't fair. But that ain't always the players' fault. If they're asked to play positions that they can't play, we need to sell them and move them on. Boo the squad, not individuals. Yeah.
We need listen, if people are going to boo at the end of the game, boo at the end of the game. All I'm saying is the players are clearly coming out and saying in their own way, this isn't helping. The manager's saying it, this isn't helping. My question is this, right? I said, we all talk about processes and building, right? But we don't have the stomach for it. 13 games in, even before that, people are booing. Now, what does that mean then? The new manager comes in, we see a run of games we don't like, and we boo again. Like, at what stage does it make players? I'll be honest, if I'm a player looking at Spurs right now, we're all going, get Semenyo, put the money down, right? Sure. If I'm Semenyo, I'm looking at Spurs and going,
Toxic.
Toxic. Right. Now, listen, I'm not saying fans don't have a right to be upset. I'm not saying that. I've never been someone that boos. I've never been. That's not my style. I don't think it helps players, right? Some players it might, right? Some players might go, fuck, they've booed. Well, I've got to change this. I think
probably the only one that from my recent memory that would go, I'll show you what I can do then. But they're so far and few between.
But I think the problem is these players aren't good enough to take those boos and respond with more quality because the quality isn't there. So but people then just say dumb shit in the chat like, oh, should we just clap them then? I never said that. I just never said that.
Never said I've enjoyed it either. Well, I don't think I've ever seen you say, oh, I'm really enjoying this. Like, it ain't like that.
I'm just asking, have you noticed all the people that say these things, not one of them, right? Not one of them tells me how it helps them. So I'm asking, like, let's see, can I get an answer from anybody that's condoning it? Tell me how it helps. Right? Sure, yeah. Phil, but that's what we've bought. And this is the point, Phil. When people like you praise players like the signing of Tell, right? Who then comes out going, please stick with us, don't, right? This is the point. We got to stop the praising of buying these average footballers because average footballers don't have the mentality or the ability we need. Booing them doesn't help them because they're not good enough to respond. They're not
Can
good
you bring
enough.
Danny's comment up? I think it's 12:27.
This one.
Yeah. So just be quiet then. What do you want? Well, first of all, I want to win. And like we're saying, booing ain't helping them win. So what do you want? Do you want to talk to these players that they get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse? Or do you want to support the team and see what happens? Look, like we said halftime if you feel the need to. End of the game, absolutely. So we've gave you kind of circumstances that we think that, or I think that's fair. What do you want? What, like we just said, booing an individual player, how is that going to make him any better? How are we going to get a better performance out of him? So what would happen is, say, for example, he made another mistake. Then what? For me, there has to be more logic to it than just, well, I pay my money, I can do what I want. Well, hold on. I pay my taxes. I mean, I can do whatever I want. No, it's not like that.
James, I still haven't seen one person in the chat. I haven't seen it. Notice, right? Lots of people can say things like they want. Man up. I mean, which is a stupid saying, right? Man up. Get the backbone. Fine. I'm asking, how does it help? Can anybody tell me? This is not one person. I'm looking through the chat, and I'm waiting for one comment that says to me, Savva, the reason it helps is but X, Y, Z. We don't get it. What we get is a lot of, we're not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it, right, James? But the way I see it is these players are fragile, right? Is booing, right? Is booing someone like Papa Sarr? Does Papa Sarr look like, I'm just using him as an example, by the way, James. I'm not picking on him, right? Do you look at a player like Papa Sarr and you see, God, that is somebody that is a winner. That is a man with a winning mentality. I look at them and go, these are weak individual footballers with poor mindsets, right? If I boo them, are they walking off, going into that change room and going, right, against Newcastle, suddenly I'm going to be better? What's actually happened is they're all coming out the next day. You've had Vicario come out, Tell's come out, Porro's come out. The Telegraph are talking about that the players are literally saying in their own way, this isn't helping, but our fans are going, but we don't like it. I get it. I get we don't like it. But if the players are telling you this isn't helping, what do we do? Just keep putting the needle in. Just keep putting the needle
Absolutely.
in. This is like, last thing I'll say, Dan, James, this is like if somebody's walking up a hill with loads and loads of weight and they are struggling, and we're telling them, man up, just get up the hill, while adding more weight to their backpack. Just keep going. These players don't have the mentality to deal with this, right? We've not bought it. But fans think that booing is acceptable. Not one of these people can tell me how it helps. Not one of them can tell me how it helps the footballers.
I think proof is in the pudding. If they're all coming out individually and saying, we feel disconnected, we feel X, Y, Z. Porro, I'm not going to have him say that about my teammate. Like, it is affecting them. Whether we want to say it's right or wrong, or man up or don't man up, or you should do this or that, it is affecting them. So by doing it more is clearly not helping. It's clearly not helping.
They haven't got the personality for it. Again, James,
I don't think any footballer has. And to be honest, I don't think the youth. If I was to treat my kids how I was treated, my God, like, no way.
Mate,
it wouldn't
bring in leaders who can cope with it. Bring in leaders who can talk to the players about this mentality. Problem is, throughout this squad, we've got so many young, fragile, weak footballers. But Dan, I'd like to. How does it help?
Well, this is where people just see things differently. That's what it comes down to, basically. And I totally get both your points. But this is where you can see people grew up in different generations, or people just grew up with a different bloody life. You can tell when someone basically grew up with a silver spoon up their arse and when someone actually had to have a bit of a hard life. It does show a bit, obviously. Now, these players, if they can't handle this, they shouldn't be in the job. It comes as part of the package. They knew that before they got the job. They knew how it works. Whether it's right, wrong, helps, doesn't help, they knew it was part of the package. Now, they must have some sort of strong mentality on them to get where they did. Because you don't just get to the top of like being in the Premier League, of being in Serie A, of being in Bundesliga, whatever, with lack of strength, with lack of willpower, with lack of mentality. It don't happen. I don't think it does. Surely there's some sort of strength in them. Now, if you're going to focus on a player the whole game, I can't agree with that because it won't do no favours, yeah? I do agree with that. But at the end of the game, if you want to boo them and tell them about themselves, so be it. Deal with it. And yeah, I do use the phrase, man up. And when I say man up...
I know you do, Dan. I know you do. It makes me laugh.
The phrase I mean by man up is grow up out and get stuck into a game like we did with PSG. And when I say stuck in a game, I don't mean take kneecaps off. Go out there and actually look like you want to try. Go out and look like you want to play football.
Sure, but we said this before. Now, it only takes you so far, Dan. That's the problem. It doesn't give you quality. That's the problem. Getting stuck in. Do you know what? Someone messaged me after you said this the other day on my show. Somebody sent me an email and said, if Dan's analogy of just getting it stuck in was how all football worked, then every football club would be winning everything.
No, there may be some people just totally misunderstood what I said and just listen to what I said just there. Maybe it's just different phrases we use. I don't know what way you want me to put it across, but for me, getting stuck into a game is trying, putting the effort in, wanting to try and play that game.
Trying against Fulham? Do you think we weren't trying?
First half, we looked totally lost. Players looked like they didn't want to go for the ball. I don't want to pick on the younger player, but don't tell me Archie Gray looked like he didn't panic on that ball several bloody times.
That's a distinct lack of quality, Dan. For me, that's not getting stuck in.
Getting stuck in, I don't mean necessarily physically.
I know what you mean, but that's right. The first half against Fulham, I thought we had quite a lot of the football, but I don't think there's the quality on the ball to do anything with it. I don't think the first half was effort. I think there's a distinct lack of quality. And whichever way we talk about this, right? Look at all the games Spurs have played for years and years and years now. It's the distinct lack of quality. Our fans bang on about getting stuck in and work great, but
it's the lack of quality. It's lack of effort as well. It's lack of effort as well. We have seen it.
I didn't think we had lack of effort against PSG.
There was
conceded 5.
I already said we didn't have lack of effort
against PSG because it only gets you so
far.
But
nobody booed them off because there was effort there. When you go and have a howler like you do against Arsenal or against Chelsea, and you don't even turn up for the bloody game, and it looks like the players just bottled it from the minute. Too right, you get booed off that pitch. Grow a pair and get stuck into a game. I'm not saying
we haven't said otherwise.
Please never work in counselling or with young people.
No,
Please.
no,
I
but
don't
we
ever
haven't
intend
said
to work in
otherwise.
Throw a pair.
counselling,
Just
but
throw
I've
a
had to
pair.
work.
That's it.
But I've had to work with people and tell them to get their act together. Otherwise, they're going to get the sack.
Sure. But the thing is,
Yeah,
Dan,
but
you've got to have
Dan,
players with the right mindset to do that. And we've bought a lot of kids and fragile footballers, right? The problem you've got is right now, none of you still have, I noticed, yeah, don't
I was
forget, I
just
didn't
about
notice
to
the
say.
competition. You didn't answer the question. I want to know, yeah, that we all see things different. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
How has that helped them? They're literally coming out and telling us via their messages that they're struggling with what they're getting from the fans. How is it helping them moving forward?
Right. Again, I see the point. Picking on one player in particular isn't going to help, yeah? Like, Vicario shouldn't have got booed after that screw up that he made, basically, yeah? He shouldn't. I don't agree with that, because straight after that, he's going to be on his toes and he's going to be looking over his shoulder. Totally agree with that one. But after the game, I'm talking about.
Can I just say, if this is still, no one said that. Please, can we not do these lies? No one said that. No, sorry, guys. Can you please convert on a panel? That did not come out of my mouth at all. That please, can we not do that? Still, you are a YouTuber. You have some sort of responsibility. This is not what I said, because people in the chat will start saying I said that. Please don't do this, Still. I did not say that.
In my opinion, Dan, as well, like what I would say is all the other players do feed off of Vicario getting booed. So if he makes one mistake, which was one mistake in the first 5 minutes, the whole stadium was booing him, or however many it was booing him. Do you not think that every time Archie Gray gets the ball now, he's like, I cannot make a mistake because I'm going to get that?
Right. Again, I said, don't pick on a player personally. You don't have to do that.
But this is what we're saying. So how does booing help? Or even at half time?
I still haven't got an answer.
I don't do it.
Notice I still haven't got an answer. I've got loads of words, but no answer.
It's where people are different. I can only give my opinion on how I would deal with it. I stand there and people start booing me. Wait, if you let me answer the question quickly, I was just going to answer it. Now, I can't answer for everyone. I can only answer for how I would personally take something, yeah? Same as I can't judge every fan just by their opinion, because everybody sees it differently, yeah? Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree because people see things different. Now, when it comes down to it, if I'm getting booed by half that fan base and everything, I'm sitting there and I'm like, do you know what, you pricks? I'm going to prove you wrong. It makes me as a person try 10 times harder. The more you criticize me, the harder I bloody try. If anything, the more you tell me I'm doing great and everything, there's the chance the more that I fold up and just get a bit lazy, a bit complacent. But that's just me as a person, yeah? Criticism has always helped me, because I feel one of the biggest ways you can improve is through criticism, if you can handle the criticism. And these days, maybe just people in general, not footballers, maybe just people in general have been blown up in such a bloody bubble all their life that you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't complain about this and you can't say nothing about that. And maybe I can't tell someone, like a good mate of mine, that maybe you do need to lose your weight a little bit. It's not doing you. Oh no, I'm offended. I'm hurt. I'm this. I'm that.
Sure.
Sometimes you need to be able to take criticism. That's why I've just answered your question.
Not the whole squad are going to have the same.
I didn't just say that. I said I can only count on myself. I can only count on myself.
Okay.
And surely there is players out there that are going to look at that and think, right, I've got to get my act together. I'm losing the fans here. I've got to do this. But during the game of picking on players, I've agreed with you two. I don't agree with it. But after the game, you have every right to boo them off that pitch if they have not put the effort in.
So
and
if
you've got 60,000 people there, 50,000 people, let's say, even 40,000 people there, then there's a hell of a lot of people sitting there that don't think you've put the effort in. It's not just one or two people sitting there with a heartless, cold soul looking at it at the moment. It's actually a majority of the people there.
Okay, so what happened?
Stel, stop doing this. Stop doing this. I've already said at the beginning of the show, right, that you wouldn't be watching. Not beating Fulham is unacceptable, right? I was just talking about in general, the first half, you could see for me from the players like Bergvall, from the players like Bergvall, Gray, Richarlison, that there was a distinct lack of quality on the ball. I didn't say we shouldn't beat Fulham. I wasn't being clever with words. I was talking about in general. Please stop doing this. I wasn't insinuating. Hang on, James. I wasn't insinuating. I hate it. Still does this all the time. I did not say this, because what it is, Stell says it, and then everyone in the chat then goes, Savva said we did. It's not what I said. Have to beat Fulham, but we can't just pretend I said something I didn't. Yeah, I'm not having that. Right? I wasn't being clever with words. I was talking to Dan about 1 point in the Fulham game. I wasn't talking about why we didn't beat them. It's unacceptable not to beat Fulham at home. Right? But I didn't say we couldn't beat Fulham because of the quality. It's not what I was saying. This is why I fucking hate YouTube. It drives me mad how much people just lie. It's so annoying.
At the start of the show as well, the one thing I said I blame Frank for is not picking his philosophy and playing it and then getting rid of the players that can't play in it. So I actually said that at the start of the show, that if I was Frank, I would pick my style, and even if the players ain't good enough, when the window opens, out you go, in you go. So what I would say is, you know, I agree with what Dan's saying to some extent, but what I'd also say is, if you was having a race against Usain Bolt and you kept trying your hardest and you're getting booed for losing, what more can you do? Well, I'm going to be
You're
better.
not going to get booed for that, but you're not going to be booed for that because, like you just said, you're
Why?
trying your hardest. When it looks like they come on the pitch and they are trying, they don't get booed off.
So do you say
we got done by PSG 5-3. We got done by 5-3 by PSG. Did anybody boo them? We even done shows about, yes, that's what we want to see. You got stuck into a game. You at least tried. But when you go and see games where it looks like players don't even try, people will boo and criticise.
But in that circumstances, Vicario, Monaco, the games continued one after another. He saved us. Look, I'm not saying that he's the final article. I'm not saying that he's who we need to win the league.
And
but
I'm
the
not
amount
saying
of
we
time
should have booed him either.
I know you're not. But all of those good moments, he makes not one mistake, because he's made loads, but he makes a mistake, in my opinion, playing out from the back, which I think Frank's making him, and now we're booing him. So he's like, right, my boss is telling me to do one thing. I'm not very good at it. So I lose the ball, I'm getting booed. I don't do it.
He shouldn't even be doing
it.
If Frank's telling him to do it, then I've got more issues with Frank at the moment, because Frank
exactly
has seen over time that Vicario is totally incapable with his as a sweeper keeper. As a shot
that's
stopper,
where Frank
he's
needs to come out and get a new goalkeeper, doesn't he? That's where we're saying it over time.
That's what he has to do.
But then this is what me and Savva were saying. Over time, us as fans can't just say, I've got a massive issue with Frank because he's playing the way he wants to, but he hasn't got the players to play it. Surely he's doing the right thing. Vicario can't play his style of football. We can't get rid of 11 players and bring in 11 players. So say, for example, he's saying, right, Vicario, I need you playing out the back. Vicario's going, look, boss, I'm trying, but it ain't my cup of tea. So I don't care. I want to play this way. When we get our new goalkeeper, he's going to sit into our system, and that's the way we're going to play. For me, we're kind of, it's just always pointing the blame rather than actually give a bit of time. If he needs a new keeper, let's see where we go and see if in 2 years' time we don't get a new goalkeeper, because it's clearly, you know, we wouldn't go and sign Kingsky if we was looking for someone better with their feet, because they're the complete opposite.
But that signing was a typical Spurs signing, wasn't it? That was a typical Spurs signing, right? If you're going to go and buy a goalkeeper, go and buy a top goalkeeper and replace Vicario. Or go and buy a top goalkeeper that challenges Vicario. Spurs went and bought a young goalkeeper. He played one game. What did our fans do after his debut? Do you remember, guys? He should be in front of Vicario. He's better than and this is what we do. Listen, can I just say? Can I just say? Because I'm seeing a lot of people saying things that I've said in the chat that I never said. I didn't think we were quality against PSG, by the way. I think we worked hard versus PSG, right? I think there's a huge difference. Now, I think when you're playing a team like PSG who are going to have all the football, working hard is a lot easier than in a game like Fulham when you're going to have more of the football, right? Because in those games is where you need to show and express your quality on the ball, which we didn't do. When you're working hard against a team that have more of the ball than you, it is going to be like what Dan said, getting stuck in, blah, 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 and that is exactly what we should have seen against Arsenal. I completely agree, right? But at no point have I ever said I thought we were excellent against PSG. I thought it was an improved performance from a work rate perspective, from pressing, from getting stuck in. The problem is, in a game where you've got all the ball, like against Fulham, it's not about the pressing anymore. It's about, right, when we've got the football, where's the quality, right? And for me, in patches in the second half, I thought we showed some quality. First half, I thought the quality was non-existent. But for me, I feel like just because I've said I don't want to sack Frank, people are now pretending things I've said. James, we started this show by saying, I think Frank is getting it wrong. I think Frank needs to, I'll say this again for all those that are lying about me. I think Frank needs to fuck off what the fans think, and he needs to get his philosophy, whether we like it or not, and run with it for a period of time. Now, I'm not expecting the same 11 week in, week out because we're playing every 3 days. I'm not expecting that. But stick to the formation, right? Stick to the philosophy that he wants to implement. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? But I think he's trying to please everybody. Everybody asked for 3 at the back. Funnily enough, if you remember, Dan, the 3 at the back conversation, the most ever noise we heard from the fan base about it was before Arsenal, right?
Yes.
And then he did it against Arsenal. Then we all heard what we want to see for PSG is legs in midfield. He did it. Then all we heard all week leading up to Fulham was, I want to see Graham Bergvall, no Bentancur. He did it. For me, this guy needs to go back to what he wants to do and tinker when he sees fit, not every game, right?
Yep.
That is where I think he is getting it very, very wrong. I think he is trying to please everyone, and in doing so, I think he's pleasing no one, right?
Yep.
If he doesn't rate Gray or Johnson, then don't play them and play your own game, right? If you think this is the formation I want to stick with, and then, hang on, we're playing PSG, I'm going to tinker for that game, fine. But I think he's very confused at the moment, and I think it's spiraling for him. And as I've said, he is going to get himself the sack with these. He is going to get himself the sack with these results. Now, that's not me saying I want him out, because the next manager's going to come in. We're going to go through all this again. And when, sorry, Stel, I've sent you the link, by the way, saying if Thomas Frank is listening, then he's a weak manager, doesn't have any self-belief. Okay, but then why do we sit there in shows then going, what I want to see Frank do is X, Y, Z. What he needs to do is this. So surely then all of our opinions should then become irrelevant if we don't think he should just do what he wants to do. We've sat there, right? We've sat there all going, what we want to see is Frank, this isn't working. We want to see this. And then we're going, he shouldn't do that if he doesn't want to do it. Like, I'm not sure.
We've gone from one extreme to another.
I agree, Dan, but I feel like now we're just putting a boot in for everything. The manager has got to sort this out. I think you both agree with me on this, right? There is no doubt he is going to get sacked if results don't improve, right? That is not my concern. Him being sacked is not my concern. My concern is when the next manager comes in, we're going to do this again for whatever reason, Dan. Now, whether this with the next manager, I'm sorry for the rant, the next manager is going to be, whoever it is, right, Dan? Because let's say we bring in Glasner. Half the fan base will want him. Half the fan base won't. Half the fan base will like his football. Half the fan base won't. And what will happen is when he starts not doing well, people will go, well, yeah, but you've brought in Glasner from Crystal Palace who plays pragmatic football. Of course this was going to happen. If you bring in Iriola, what's going to happen is as soon as we hit bad spells, it's going to be, well, Iriola plays nicer football that we like. But what do you expect? He's only managed Bournemouth. As I've said, Dan, you've heard me say this a million times. If Frank goes, Frank goes. But what is the expectation of the next manager? And what is going to make the next manager be the one to get behind him? What are we going to be happy to be patient with?
This is where I think we've gone from one extreme to another. I mean, from what I've taken, from the way I took in what you just said, you haven't stated, but you're almost questioning whether Frank has got the mentality to be at a club like Spurs.
No.
Now, do I class this as an?
No,
hang on.
I didn't say.
Hang on.
I didn't say that at all.
I didn't say you said that. I didn't say you actually said it.
I've got a two. I've got a two.
All right, James.
I didn't insinuate that at all.
I've got to shoot, mate.
Thanks, Matt.
Take
Appreciate
care, boys. No worries. Take care.
By saying that he's
Not what I'm
doing
insinuating.
what the fan by saying, okay, fair enough. I'm just saying that's the way I took it. By saying that he's only going by, he's doing by what the fans want to do. He's doing this, he's doing that, everything to try and satisfy the fans, and he has to go back to doing it his way as such, and pretty much push the fans aside for it. If he hasn't got the capability of doing that as such, or he's not going to do that, then he hasn't got the mentality to work at a bigger club. Basically, is how I took what you just said.
Okay, but I mean, I'm sitting here categorically telling you 100% that is not what I meant in any way.
That's
shape,
fair
or
enough. That's why I asked. That is why I asked and not stated straight away.
I think many managers, when they're under pressure, start trying different things. I think many managers do. This manager is under pressure, right? And as I've said, I've stated this a million times. I'm not going to die on a hill that Thomas Frank has to keep his job at all costs, Dan. I don't care. I've said this a million times. Tottenham is bigger for me than any manager or any player. Tottenham is going to be here in 10, 15, 20 years. None of these players and managers are, right? My problem is this. If you get rid of this one, right? If you get rid of this one, who's the next man that everyone wants to see? Because, Dan, you would love a Glasner, I think, if I'm not wrong, because I think you like the way he plays, the transition.
It's my type of style, personal opinion. Okay. That's all it is. So but it's not the Spurs way, is it?
Right. So from what I know of you, this is what you like in a manager. Now, the thing is, Dan, I think Glasner's a very good manager. But my point is this, Dan, lots of fans that are sitting there going, we want to see free-flowing football. We want to see attacking football, yada, yada, yada. Glasner's not actually that guy. If they actually go and do their homework, Glasner's not that guy. So Glasner will come in, make us hard to beat, put the wing backs in formation. My question is, if when we hit a rough spell, right, under Glasner, just using him hypothetically, are fans going to then start doing and going, but we're not playing the football, we're not playing the Spurs way. We're not playing free-flowing football because that's not what this manager does. He also never moves away from wing-backs. So will they sit there and go, it's not working, he's got to change it? Because he's not that guy. So I've got no problem with Glasner coming in, but half the fan base will like it. Half the fan base won't, right? So the next manager is going to be on a hiding to nothing the same way Frank is. The next manager after that is going to be on a hiding to nothing. So I'm asking everybody, who is that one guy that all of us get behind and go, yes, this is who we want. He plays the football we want. He's a winner that we want. But who is that guy, Dan? I don't think they exist.
I can't disagree with what you said there. It's true. You're right. Because I actually said at the start, and along with you, and a couple of others actually agreed with it as well, when I said he's actually got quite a lot on his case, because there's a fair amount who wanted him in, was quite happy with him in, me being one of them. And there's a fair amount who didn't really want any manager in there, unless it would have been some massive world-class manager, because they were still very set on Ange basically staying at the club. And then he was going to be the other ones who really didn't care whether Ange went, Ange stayed, or whoever. But they didn't like Frank's style of football because it's not this Spurs way that some people keep telling me exists. And when I hear about it, it was back in 1960 or whatever, and I wasn't even alive when we played this Spurs way. Or we've always had flair players, or we've always done this and that. Well, times do change. I get that, yeah. So in that aspect, he already had a lot on his back. He was not going to keep a majority happy because you had the ones who still wanted Ange in, and you've got the other one of the third, as such, shall we say, that don't like his style of football. And then you've got the other side that wanted him in and are willing for the change, whatever else and that. Great. So already from the start, maybe he actually had the majority on his back already.
Agreed.
And I did say that at the start, you agreed with it, and so did a few of the others. And at the moment, I'm not Frank out at the moment. He's pushing his luck. I won't deny it, because I called Ange out. I'm treating him the same as Ange. I'm saying give him the season, because things can change without a transfer window. What can he do? I get all this. But this is where we are going to need to see some improvement and see it quickly. Because at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, the way we're playing, we can easily be looking at 15th and ending up with bloody 18 to 20 defeats, just as bad as we did Ange. The way it has literally gone off a cliff.
Sure,
yeah?
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying it stays like that. I'm not saying it's going to be like that. But you can only judge by what you see at the moment. And then people say forget about Ange and everything. But you can't forget about Ange at the moment, because we've only got last season to compare to. If Frank lasts the season and goes into next season, then you can compare next season to this season with Frank. At the moment, you can only compare to the previous season we just had, basically. And with Ange, after about 6 or 7 games, I called it on your show. So far, so good. But we keep playing this way, we're going to get found out and get destroyed in this Premier League, yeah?
You did.
And you get called negative, this and that. I said, no, I think he's going to adapt to it and everything else. I couldn't have been more wrong if I tried. Now, I think maybe Frank, I want a manager that can adapt for games. I want a manager that is willing to change his formation for a game here and there. Not every bloody game, but adapting certain points of a game. That is the problem at the moment when you actually go through that list of, let's say, managers that are available, that ain't already at a club as such. There isn't a very high list. I mean, you've got what's his name? The fellow who was at Dortmund, is it Zurich?
Yeah, but again, a lot of the
I'm just saying ones that are open.
Yeah, I know. Dan, my point with all this is as well. What we do is, and of course we're YouTube, so what we do when I ask, right, who comes in and replaces. So I'll ask this right now, and we'll see what the chat say. And then we'll see who's actually thought about it, Dan, because we can all chuck out names. Some of them won't be available. Some of them might not want to join Spurs. Now, I'm going to ask fans to put 3 things into one message for me. 1, which manager do you want? 2, which style of football do you want? And 3, how long are you going to give them? Right? Now, first of all, that's really simple. Which manager you want? Which style do you want? How long are you going to give them? Please give me 1, 2, 3 in the comments, right? Because I'm all for, I have to keep saying this because people keep fucking lying about me. I'm all for managers going. They come, they go, Dan. They come, they go, right? If I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm not going to be, oh my God, Frank's gone. Oh my God. I will be, right, Frank's gone. I think it's ridiculous. Where do we go from here? And I'm waiting for people, Dan, to tell me, where do we go from here? Because right now, are you getting Iriola out of Bournemouth on the 1st of December? Are you getting Glasner out of Palace on the 1st of December when his contract runs out in the summer and he'll have the choice of pretty much most clubs where he wants to go, right? People want Xavi. But again, as we said, Xavi comes in. Has he got the players to play the way Xavi wants to play? People want Iriola. Iriola will play nice football. He will take time to get there, but his teams also concede a lot of goals. So my question is, not to you, who is the guy and why? And notice not one fan out of 500 people can give me the 1, 2, 3, right? Only Kevin has said Poch, balanced attacking, 3 years. Right. So now let's dispel this myth of Poch. Pochettino is with the US of A until the World Cup is over, right, Dan, if I'm not wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If he gets into the World Cup, yeah.
Right. Now, okay, let's assume USA are at the World Cup. USA will be in the World Cup. The World Cup doesn't end until what, mid-July? If I'm not wrong, mid-July, I think.
Something like
June.
that, towards the end of it. It's about 3/4 into it, isn't it? Something like that.
So we're then saying Tottenham take Poch mid-July, couple of weeks holiday. We take Poch for August. He's now got no pre-season. He's had no transfer window. Right? Like, I genuinely don't understand how that works. And this is what I'm saying. We can chuck names in, but it's got to make sense. It's got to be achievable for the club to make it happen.
We are at this point where we're pretty much very limited on choice, basically. I think this is a reason why I'm a bit more trying to be a bit more positive with Frank, sort of thing. And I have been. I must admit, I thought he would be doing a better job. I thought at one stage we looked like our defence was looking significantly better. Now it looks just as it looks just as bad as Ange. We look just as bad at this moment in time as we did under Ange when he left.
I agree.
It's who do you actually go for? Because another problem we do have, obviously, with a fan base that has got such a set mentality on how you play football, it's going to have to be a certain manager that plays a certain way if you want to keep a majority of fans happy. And I agree with what you said. Glasner, for me, was my second choice. One I would have really liked was Inzaghi from Inter Milan. But again, personal opinion. Everyone's got their own style of play. Everyone's got the way I prefer. The way
That's why I asked Dan. Because we've all got our different opinion. The new manager coming in, 50% are going to go, yep, and the other 50% are going to go, don't want him in immediately. And straight away, the pressure from game one is going to be absolutely crazy.
Any manager that comes in with a pragmatic style of football or a more sit back and counter attack style of football is going to get jumped on by about, I'd say, call it a random number, but 65 to 70% of the supporters. People at Spurs don't want to see that, basically. Again, it's another one. I am more than happy with it, yeah? Conte style, when it worked, I loved watching it play. Yes, it got extremely messy towards the end of that because, like you said, he didn't have the team to bloody do it. And it's just we've gone from one extreme to another of having a manager who is so set and hardcore in his way and so old school that he just is not willing to change. So a manager that just can't seem to find the bloody way and chop and change a little bit for certain games that is here, there, and everywhere. Like it's just from one extreme to another. If Frank don't improve, for me, he's lucky he's here by January. But then where do we go?
I agree, Dan.
But I agree with the point of where do we then go?
Right.
Is it going to actually be any favour to get rid of him before the end of the year?
But Dan, you know what YouTube shows are like.
Oh, I know that totally.
They're not listening to that bit. They're just hearing. They're just hearing me saying, right, where do we go next? Going, no, you can't keep Frank. Cool. As I said, Frank, for me, I think if Frank takes a battering to Newcastle and Brentford, I'm not saying I would sack him, Dan, but I think he's going to go, right? Because of the way football results work. I won't mind, right? What I will mind is, I'll use this saying again, I'm so boring, people. What's the plan? Because if the plan is, some people like Inzaghi, for example, I've got nothing against Inzaghi, but if Inzaghi comes in, most of the Spurs fans are going to go, hang on, where's this tick-attacker, brave attacking football we want to see? He's not that guy, right? Terzic is not that guy. Glasner is not that guy. But now you have to look at the managers that are that guy, Dan. They'll be coming into a squad that isn't that squad. So that's why I asked the question. If you bring in an Iriola, by the way, who's only done it at Bournemouth, like most of our fans keep telling me about Frank at Brentford. If you bring in an Iriola who plays an attacking style of play but concedes loads of goals, if you bring in a Xavi who plays an attacking possession-based style of play, those managers are going to need a lot of time, Dan, because they're going to need to get rid of the players that can't play that way and bring in a number of players that do play that way. And that is the problem for me. I'm asking that question and people can't seem to get that around their heads, right? If that manager comes in, how long are fans prepared to go through pain whilst those new managers get in their players, have shaky results, and build the team? How long are they prepared? Because we've been prepared to give Frank 4 months. How long is everyone giving the next guy if results don't go the way they want? Because, Dan, one last thing I'll say to this. If we do this, right, Frank goes. 1st of December, Frank's gone. Yada, 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 right? No. 2nd of December, Spurs lose 5-0 to Newcastle. Frank goes, right? Hypothetical, everybody. Hypothetical. Right. Spurs bringing a new manager, and after 4 months, guess what, Dan? We're not happy again. Manager goes. Are footballers really going to be looking at Spurs and going, that's why I'm picking you over Liverpool or City or Chelsea or Arsenal? Right? They're going to look and go, what a mess. Like, what the fuck is going on at Tottenham Hotspur?
There's very few clubs it's worked with, like a new manager every other year sort of thing, except when you get a place like Chelsea, when you could get a world-class manager in there and then you just had the money to put it on the table, basically. There you go, get who you want.
Yeah.
In that aspect, that's a club you can say it worked at. There's not many times that you do see that way work, and we are very limited on choices of managers because we have been through so many of them. And the other thing I do agree, unless that board prove one way or another that they are willing to back a manager, then who he's going to want to come into it. And then I asked the question, I agree with what Sean said in that aspect. If we don't think he's going to last it and they're just going to carry him till the end of the season because it ain't going to do no favours to sack him mid-season as such, do we then go and give him 120 million pounds to spend in January? That's where the other questions come in. I think at the moment we are in a bit of a position of we're screwed if we do and screwed if we don't at the moment.
Rock and a hard place, right?
Yeah, at the moment, I think when it comes to that, I think we are. Can he improve this? Yes, I think he can, because it's going to be pretty hard to make it get any worse at the moment unless we just literally start losing every game. If he would have managed to get it the reverse way round and getting the results at home but losing away, I think, again, significantly people would be going easier on him as such. It's where he's not getting the results at home and he's getting a few away. And
if he could somehow, Dan, get 4 points from the next two, I don't think this will happen, by the way, but if he could somehow get a point away at Newcastle and beat Brentford, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off and gets us that little bit closer to the January transfer window. My concern, Dan, is when I look at this run of games coming up, listen, I don't want to be negative about it. I can't see the next win. I can't, if I'm brutally honest. I think Brentford are in a great vein of form. They've got, you know, they're playing well. They're going to come with there's going to be no pressure on Keith Andrews coming to Spurs, Dan, right? All the pressure is going to be on Frank and Spurs, right? There's no pressure on Newcastle tomorrow night. They're bloody good at home. I think most Spurs fans know they're probably, hopefully we win, probably going to beat us. You're right, rock and a hard place. But December the 1st, December the 2nd, is that the time to start looking for a new manager? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think we're a mess, as always.
Yeah, I think the other problem is where we have put up with basically 2 years bar a cup of absolute crap, like football that got me to the point where we concede a goal and I'd just laugh at it, basically. And honestly, really didn't care anymore because I had to cut myself off from it because I was getting so annoyed with it. It seems like we're back to that level again already, when all of a sudden at the start it looked like there was improvement, but then we all know there's a honeymoon period usually. New manager comes in, 4 or 5 wins. Yes, we're on our feet again. Next thing you know, someone pushes us out the plane window with no parachute again. And it's back to the floor again. I do think we are pretty much in that position of now. It is, what do we do? Do we then stick with him until the end of the season? Are people then going to complain that, well, if we're getting rid of him at the end of the season, then don't go and give him 120 mil? Do we go and look at it and say, well, at least give him that 120 million to give him that chance to evolve the team as such? What do we actually do? You're going to get a divided fan base, and a big divided fan base, no matter what you do in this situation.
And Dan, that's my point, right? As I said, I'm not against. This isn't about Ange. This isn't about Frank. This isn't about the next manager. My point is, everybody now. Listen, it is very toxic in the Spurs fan base. We all have lost patience. I don't mean with Frank. I mean in general, right? We've all lost patience. We're all fed up. We all want to see better players, better transfer windows. And because of that, we all think that something different should happen, whether that be now or in the summer or in the windows. I think that the next manager coming in as well is on a hiding to nothing. He is, Dan. He's on a hiding to nothing, because straight away we're gonna have this knock on. Yeah, people that didn't want to see Ange gone immediately got on Frank's back. We can see that, right? People who don't want Frank gone will immediately get on the next manager's back. And the problem is, no manager's actually going to have any time to breathe, Dan. Like, no manager's going to actually have time to go, right, this is me. I'm not the last manager. I'm not the new. This is me. This is my philosophy. And I think we're going to be back here in a year. I genuinely do, Dan. I think we're going to be back here in a year with whoever the manager is having these conversations, unless something changes more than the manager.
Right. Then there is an answer to it. There is an answer, and that's the owners. Then maybe, like it or not, whether it's the example you want to lose or not, then maybe we do actually need to take a bit of advice off of Arsenal. Maybe the owners need to do it and just say, do you know what, fans, shut up, go away, pay for your tickets, do what you got to do. We'll do our job, you do yours. I'm not saying that's the way you should treat the fans. It's the way we've been treated for years, but it's the way Arsenal did it and just said, you know what, shut up, you lot, get on with it. We're going to do it our way. They did it their way. They backed him, and it seems to have worked. I mean, it was at the point where Arsenal fans were going toe-to-toe outside the stadium and everything and that, but I know there's still that want him out there, but a majority are more than happy with him, which they should be on the progress they have made. Yes, he's had a lot of money, but this is where we need to see the board make the decision, basically, of what they want to do with their business, which is business, basically. Do they think Frank is the man who can do it with their business? If they do think that Frank's the man that can do it with their business, then stick with their man, put the fans aside in that aspect, and back the manager. And they, for me, are the only ones that are going to change this. And then if that becomes their mentality of, we are going to back this man because we believe he is the man who can do it, whether we believe he is or isn't part of the question on this one. Fans, deal with it. They're still going to turn up to games. Yes, we're going to go through some games where a few fans don't turn up. I think there's a lot not turning up there. I think that's a lot of it comes down to Son not being at the club anymore as well. I think has a part of that, but there is others who are just not turning up anymore. But I do think the Son thing has got more to do with it than some people might see, but that's just an opinion. It is just basically going to have to come down to the owners to sit there and say, right, this is who we want, this is who we're sticking with, and we're going to back him. You lot are just going to have to ride it.
So we're saying, like what Man United done, right? So Jim Ratcliffe came out and said, didn't he? And he's come out this season and said, Amorim is my guy for the next 3 years. He's come out and said it. Now, you will get fan backlash, but he's come. Yeah. But I respect the chairman for that's ballsy. He's come out and said, this is my guy, right? And Man U are stable. This isn't the Man U of old, but Man U are stable at the moment. Winning one, losing one, winning one. You know, they're stable enough, right?
They're okay.
But now, what the Man United fans that I'm speaking to are saying is, cool, then we need to see that in the windows that this is your guy, back him. Now, I think the Spurs board needs to do something similar. I think you either get rid of the manager if the results continue like this and you say, well, the results haven't worked, we move on. Or you turn around and go, this is our guy. Thomas Frank's here for the long run. We trust in him. And we as a club together have to build together, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I don't think we can have, Dan, is a halfway house of that. I don't think we can have no communication at all. I think they need to back him publicly or not. Not his job's safe. Not that. Come out.
No, because that's usually kiss of death.
Yeah, not the kiss of death, but this is our guy. And if not, they will pull the Band-Aid soon. And as I can't keep saying this, as I've said, when that happens, what are we going to do, Dan? We're all going to jump on a million YouTube channels, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, this, that, the other X, and everyone's going to go, I want him. I want him. Look, when I asked about the manager, Dan, right? Do you know the different names I've just seen in there? I've seen Iriola, right? I've seen Reggie Labrie, right? I've seen Terzic. I've seen Xavi. I've seen Poch. I've seen Glasner. I've seen some say Silva. Whatever we do, it's going to be toxic because the new manager will need time. The new manager's going to need time. Iriola took time at Bournemouth. By the way, I don't think Bournemouth are amazing. I think like everyone goes on as though they're like Champions League. But Iriola took time. Bournemouth. Eddie Howe's had 4 years at Newcastle, right? Emery has had years at Aston Villa now. We can't keep doing this chopping and changing. So if you're going to chop and change early, right? And make sure you get the next manager right with a plan in place.
When it comes down to the crunch, it is basically it is only the board that can try, the owners that can try and fix this. Yes, it's going to help a lot more if the fans get behind it and everything, but you're never going to have a complete fan base behind unless you're doing significantly better than you're expected to do. And even if you're not playing that certain way, you're still going to have fans complain about it. And the second it goes wrong, go hell for leather on it, basically. It is a bit of a catch-22. And it's just going to be down to the board now to make that decision of who they want to bring in and stick with them basically through thick and thin.
Exactly.
I?
Also, Dan, don't forget, they've just spent £17 million in sacking Ange and bringing in Frank. Are the board going to want to look at that 17 million investment in 4 months and go, yeah, we're done with that? Because, Dan, think about it, right? And this is where I think sometimes fans, we don't have the bigger picture with this. If you sack Frank, his staff go, right? So when you go and get in a new manager, you're now having to get a whole new backroom staff, right? So now we're in a position.
Look at it from that side. Yeah, it's true.
Can we do that in December? In December, can you go and get a manager and a whole new backroom staff and go, hey, come and join us? By the way, the last manager got 13 league games, but come on, hey, join us. I don't know.
If it comes down, the way it's going at the moment, it's not necessarily the way I want it to happen, whatever. I'm just a bit lost within things at the moment of, it's not where I want it to go. Of course, I want it to go and win and everything, and that is what I want. But with a lot of what I've seen, especially over the past 5 or 6 games, I must admit I'm losing faith in Frank very quickly, because there's a lot of things to be very skeptical of. But then it can be fixed. Is he the man to do it? Can he do it? I've got questions, whatever else, this and that. Honest opinion is purely opinion. It's not necessarily what I want, but it's not necessarily what I don't want, because I am in a bit of a position where I'm on the fence here, where I don't actually know what I want apart from us to win. I just honestly think we're just going to have to ride out this season, basically.
I agree.
We're going to, even if they don't necessarily intend on keeping him on the long run, they're still going to have to put some money on the table in January, come love nor money, basically, even if they say, right, we're just going to kick him at the end of the season. It ain't going to work. Because otherwise, you're going to have the fans come down even harder. And then Toxic is going to go like an understatement at that stadium. It will look like a nuclear bomb has hit it, basically, if we do not go and at least spend or get some good loans in January. That is the way the board are going to be able to buy their time, basically, another 6 months as such. And then at the end of the season, we're just going to have to make a decision as the board again on, right, is there progression there? Right, not much, bit of a shady first season, but I see some progression. Right, we'll put some more money into him, give him another 6 months to a year. I think this can improve. Or no, wrong decision, total tits up, scrap it, start again. And I think we're just going to have to ride it out to the season, and that's all we can do is judge game by game. I think that's the most logical way to do it. If we could go and get a world-class manager in now, I would say drop him, go and bloody do it. But can we? I don't think so.
I would say this, Dan, right? And all I ever try to do on my channel is ask questions, right? So I see, when I see a lot of people just going, just do this, I'm just asking the questions. People have got to take into account it's December. Take into account most managers that we want will be in a job. Take into account it's going to cost a lot of money again to replace. Take into account, right, that you've got to replace the backroom staff. Take into account that the new manager is going to need transfer windows and time as well. That's why whenever I ask these questions, I always like to see who in the chat can give me a reason, not just like, one of the things that frustrates me is, I told you about Frank. Okay, cool. You told me about Frank. Now tell me the solution. I'm cool with that, right? The I told you so thing, Dan, I'm absolutely cool with. But the I told you so thing doesn't actually give, not you, so I'm not saying you, that you didn't tell. The I told you so thing doesn't actually provide a solution. The I told you so thing doesn't actually get Spurs better moving forward. And there's very few people that when I've actually asked this question, YouTubers as well, when I've actually asked this question, can give me an actual fluid plan as to what they think the club needs. I just hear names of a manager, even if they're not available or even if it's not really going to be doable. So maybe, for example, if he does go, maybe it's an interim between now and the end of the season. Maybe it's somebody that comes in, steadies the ship and allows the club to have 6 months to say, right, we got to formulate a plan. I'm just spitballing, Dan, right? I don't know the answer. I'm just spitballing. Maybe the right manager is right there in front of us and they go, right, this is the guy we're going to back. Maybe. But doing it on December the first, this isn't easy. This isn't easy because clubs are going to fight tooth and nail to keep hold of their manager if they're doing well mid-season. They're going to fight tooth and nail to keep them. So, look, I don't know where we go, Dan. I genuinely feel like if we take any names away, I just think the whole club is a mess. From playing staff, the manager's getting it wrong. The owners aren't getting it right. The directors of football have not got it right for me. The medical staff can't seem to get our players fit. But I'll ask this. I'm just going to plead with Spurs fans. Before we all say Frank out, ask yourself, what is it you actually want? Not in the short term, not that for 10 games you want to see pretty football. What do you actually want at this football club, right? How achievable is it? And what's the time frame we're willing to wait for that to happen, Dan?
Look, if enough, but from what I have seen, I must admit, I am starting to think that maybe Frank is out of his depth a bit. It is starting to look like that to me. But times can change in 5 games, whatever, I know that. But I think the way we're just going to have to do this one is give him a couple of quid in January and ride the season out, because they're going to have to do it whether they intend to keep him or not. Like I said, otherwise friends will literally drop a nuclear bomb there, basically. I think we're just going to have to ride this one out till the end of the season. Yes, it's another season written off. Yes, it's this. Yes, it's that. I know that. But what else can we really do there? If we can go out there in December, January and say, right, Glasner, there's that, and we're willing to go, right, get rid of that lot, bring that lot in, lot of piss balling about, I know all that, but what I'm saying is if the club are willing to do it and can do it, then bloody go and do it. I just don't see it happening as simple as that in the January, basically, and then with like what you said, which I didn't think of, it's like all the coaching staff and everything as well and all that.
It's everything.
I don't... Yeah, it's the whole lot. So do you know what? Like it
that's
or
why when I
it,
get comments like this, Dan, like look, think how simplistic this is. Another Redknapp Poch, it's that simple. Is it? Who? Is it that simple? Because again, listen to what I asked, and Sam, this is why when I call you a troll, listen to what I'm asking. Which manager is that? How long do you give them? How many transfer windows are they going to get? How are they going to be in the interim with these players they pick up? I.e., if you bring in Harry Redknapp right now, just for example, because this person's talked about it. Harry Redknapp, right, played a set way because he had people like Aaron Lennon and Bale that could fly at teams, right? He bought Rafa van der Vaart, who could be a playmaker. He had Luka Modric, who dictated games in the middle of the park. So, for example, I love Redknapp. He's my favourite manager from the last 30 years. You bring in Redknapp now, Redknapp's going to go, oh, hang on. Where are the pieces for my jigsaw? Poch the same, right? Everyone assumes Poch will come back and do exactly the same thing he did before. We don't have a striker like Kane. We don't even have one that we look like we can turn into a Kane. We don't have a winger like Sonny. We don't have an Eriksen. We don't have Moussa Dembele. We don't have Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld or Cole Walker or Hugo Lloris. So when we're saying it's that simple, if it was, I'll ask this, Dan, if it was that simple, why doesn't every club in world football do it if it's that simple?
It's not that simple, and a lot of us know that, but it's very easy to be angry with it and make a comment on the day. We've all done it where we've made that comment on the day and then thought about it the next day, like, okay, maybe that weren't just a logical way to look at it, and that's where your anger speaks instead of your level head as such. We're all guilty of it. Every single one of us without fail has done that at one stage or another. Some maybe more than others, but it's something we are all guilty of when that anger takes over. Me along with everyone else. We all do it. But just trying to look on it from a logical sense, from a realistic manner as such. Again, I'll just repeat what I said. We're just going to have to ride this one out. When it comes to how long are we going to give a manager this, that, and everything else, like you said, opinion I'm going to give at the moment, is that should not really be down to us now. That has got to be down to the board on whether they are going to stick with their man or not, and basically just say, you lot are going to have to deal with it. Do we like it that way? Do we want it that way? Have we been shafted over the past 20 odd years by Levy and everything and all that? I get all that crap. But the only way I see, unless someone gives me another open-minded opinion, I'm more than up for opinions that this can be changed another way. They're just going to have to tell the fans to shut up and this is our man and this is what we're going to do, and they're just going to have to ride their system and stick by it. And if it works, people will slowly start turning the other way. Do you know what? Okay, it's working. Yet we're happy. We can see you're backing the manager. It's starting to work. People will tone down. If it starts going totally wrong, people are going to go even more toxic, and they're just going to have to stick with their man and pay for it, or they're just going to have to put their hands up and say, right, we got it wrong. Start again. This has got to be down to the board, not us. So really, how long we are willing to give a manager, what manager we want, and everything else, it has got to that point where I don't think it should be part of the question anymore. It's got to be the board that sticks by it.
But it does matter from the point of view that it gets toxic, right? And the noise starts happening. I agree with you. At the end of the day, let's be brutally honest. We're just football fans. The board will make the decisions. But let's be honest. At some stage, someone needs time. At some stage. Yeah. Now, every fan is going to have a different idea of what that looks like, right? That is the massive problem we've got. I remember when Eddie Howe turned up at Newcastle, there were so many Newcastle fans, Dan, going, this guy's going to come to our big football club. He's only ever done it at Bournemouth. Then he got relegated, right? Eddie Howe, it's been years getting rid of players, bringing players in, getting them like, do you know what I mean? It's going to be years. And the problem is, I think, I'm not saying all of them, Dan, I think we have a huge section of our fan base that think things change in 1 year. And I think that is a huge problem for us. This is not like, okay, so if a manager took over, let me just use a big example. If a manager takes over Liverpool, right? For example, if Slot was gone today, Dan, whoever takes over Liverpool, you go, look at that fucking squad, right? Don't you? You go, look at that squad, hit the ground running, go. Hit the ground. You don't have to win the league this year, but hit the ground running. Whoever comes in at Spurs has got an angry fan base, an average squad, the same owners we've had for 20 odd years to deal with, right? Players out injured, right? The fan mentality. Whoever comes in here, this is huge. This is a huge job. So I don't want to hear fans saying to me, it's that simple. If it's that simple, everyone would do it. And if everyone remembers, when Poch first joined, it weren't good. It weren't good. Poch was on the brink of sack, and then it changed. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily the same for Frank, but sometimes you've got to go through the pain. And I wonder if we've got any stomach for it at all.
The other issue, you're right on what you've said. Again, I can't argue with that. The thing is, it's like with other things I've said. There's a lot of should. There's a lot of should at this club. It seems to be one of our favourite words out of fans and everything else. When I say fans, I mean all of us, me included. Should this, should that. But it's like the example I give. There should be a lot of things in life. I should be able to leave my car door open without someone choring it, but it just don't work like that. Managers should maybe give them more time to express what they can do and show what they can do and whatever else, but it just don't work like that. Sadly, as a manager, you don't get the time. You don't get how many managers last more than 16 to 18 months? Seriously, not many. And that's especially in the Premier League. Managers just don't get that time, and it is what it is. Deal with it in that aspect, because it is what it is, and that's not going to change unless the board put their foot down and say, right, this is how we're doing it. Should players get booed on the pitch? I don't agree with that, but they do. That is why I say deal with it. It's part of the package. You knew what lifetime you was letting yourself in for. At the end of the game, I totally agree. They should get booed off that pitch. But during the game, I don't agree with it. But again, it's all should. As far as I'm concerned, it happens. It's part of life. You got to deal with it. A manager doesn't get the time he needs 9.9 times out of 10. And if we just keep going like that, how far can we go? When are we going to get this magic manager that can all of a sudden do this in, let's say, 6 months, 9 months, whatever? I think the problem is at the moment, Savva, a lot of people just wanted to see improvement.
Yeah,
And
I
in the
get it.
first few games, I was one of the ones sitting there saying, no, do you know what? I'm seeing some improvement here. We are still looking rusty as
People
anything.
complained
but the
about that,
back,
Dan.
But the
Hang
back
on,
is
let me
looking.
push back. People complained because they wanted better football. If you actually look in the last 3 games, which is where we've started to see our defense being ripped apart, is when he came away from what he was doing that people didn't want to see because they were bored of it. If you think about it, right?
Yes.
People were all going, don't like, even people like Luba don't want to see Bentancur and Paulinho, for example. He comes away from this and changes the formation. We start opening up and letting in goals. Maybe there's something to be said for why he was doing what he was doing. Just throwing it out there. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's only the board that's going to change it. You're never going to keep a whole fan base happy, especially this one at Spurs, which has been so, even though we've just got a cup over the past, let's say 5 years, since Poch left, basically, a lot of fans feel they have been so drained from the style of football that they want. It's like putting blood in front of a vampire and not wanting him to go for it, basically. We want it now. We want it yesterday. And when I say we, I mean a majority of Spurs fans. We want it yesterday. But again, it just don't work like that. The board are the only ones who can basically put their foot down and say, we are sticking with this man through thick and thin. It shouldn't actually come down to what the fans necessarily want. Then it comes down to the question of the manager as well. Now, as a person as such, there was a lot of things I actually didn't mind about Ange. I like a fella that's got the bottle to stand there and say, do you know what, screw you, I'm going to do it like this. But then in the sort of job he's in, you also need someone who's got the mentality to sit there and say, well, maybe I do need to adapt. Not because the fans are telling me, but because I've got the knowledge on football on that I need to adapt and change my game a bit because it isn't working. It shouldn't actually be down to the fans on what style of football we play and how the manager does this and how the manager does that. But then I think on the other side of it as well, where I know Frank plays 3 different styles of football as such and that, and I have no problem with that. But at the moment, he just seems all over the bloody place and doesn't know which way to focus on. And if it's right on what you're saying, that he's just adapting and changing things purely to keep the fan base happy, then if it's true, I'm not saying it is.
Oh, yeah, I don't know it is, by the way.
No, nor do I. But I'm just using it as an example, yeah? If that is true, that he's gone and done it for that. No, I know that. If that is why he has gone and done it, we don't know. Then for me, he hasn't got the right mentality for a bigger club. Now, everyone knows my opinion on that. We are not a bloody elite club. And when people tell me we are a big club, elite club, whatever way you want to put it, I'll just slam the names down like Juventus, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Bayern Munich, the list goes on, Man U, Liverpool. That is an elite club. We are not that level, never have been that level. But it's like we almost expect to be at that level because of the amount of money we have at the club, the stadium we have at the club, the training facilities we have at the club, the amount of money we have to pay for tickets and everything and that. When you are going out and spending hundreds of pounds on tickets and the most in Europe, you don't want to come up with a pair of bloody Asda's jeans. You want a nice pair of Armani or Hugo Boss jeans, for God's sake. And there's all we've ever been limited with is bloody Lidl's or charity shop, basically. And that is where the whole toxic side comes in. And the story is bigger than just one thing. There's a lot more other points to the story as such. But I repeat myself one more time, the only way this is ever going to get fixed, it isn't going to be, it can't be down to the fans. It can't be down to the fan base, especially this fan base. It can't. It has got to be down to the board to say, right, this is what we are doing. This is what we are sticking with. Fans, go do what you want, boys. This is what we're doing, because that's what they did at Arsenal. And I think maybe we just need to, maybe our board need to actually, I know it's the example they don't like, but I think it's maybe the board just need to, there is nothing wrong with admitting you got something wrong and looking over at someone, whether you like them or not, and saying, do you know what? They're getting something right here. I'm going to copy that. And I think maybe that is just what our board need to do.
You're bang on. The board need to look at the moment. I mean, silence means like the board aren't panicking like the fans are. That's the only way we can take it, right? If not, they do need to come out and say something. But I'm of the opinion, and the reason I'm not losing my mind like most people are is because I don't rate the squad. I think this is years and years and years of poor planning, poor buying. Do I think the manager should be doing better? Yes. Is it unacceptable to lose games at home like Fulham? I don't think the word is unacceptable because we haven't beaten them at home for years now, but they're games we should be winning. That's the way I'll put it. I think that we're spiraling. We're really spiraling at the moment. And it needs that game, Dan. It needs that game that changes things. You know, like how managers have that game. Ferguson at Man United, he had that game with Mark. I'm going back to the late.
Yeah, that saved his career, basically.
Right, that saved his job. Poch had the Villa game with Harry Kane. It's almost like Frank needs a game. Frank needs a game.
He's already on that.
Tomorrow
He's
night,
already on it.
right? And we go, cool, I didn't see that win coming. That was a good performance. Can't believe we've beaten Newcastle 2-0 away. We kind of need that game. My worry for Frank is that if he doesn't get that very soon, then I see that he will be gone. Now, I'm not saying I make that right, but that will be my worry for the next manager as well.
But then
that
it is
will be
what
my
it
worry
is in that aspect.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I said this the other day. I think it was when me and Benji were talking about it, and I've said it to Dietrich as well when I spoke to him. I think the thing is, Ange got to that point, and I think it was towards the end of the first season, basically, let's say start of the second season, where he was literally relying on a game out of every 3 or 4 to basically save his ass and buy him some time. I think Frank is already on that level. The biggest problem here, I think, and it is again just I think, is the fact that really after, what are we, 13 games into the season? 14, is it? Is it 13? I think it's 13.
Yeah, it's 13 league games we're into,
Yeah, 13 league games. If you want to put it all together, it's like what I've said. We've actually played good in 1 or 2 games. I think we've played just as bad, if not worse, than Ange in a couple of games. And I think we've played okay. Overall, I think that's what you could pretty much say we did with Ange to an extent. Sometimes we played okay. A lot of the time we ended up playing terrible. It just went more to the terrible side. And then some ways it went, you'd see a good game out of us here and there. But it seems like we've already hit or haven't been taken away from that Ange level as such. And if you look at the past results of the past 12 games and that, we keep playing like this, we can be looking at 15th again, and he can lose 18 games. We're going into games, and now XG ain't a big thing for me, but I get it thrown at me a lot through mates and whatever who send it and that. And when we're getting XGs of 0.2, 0.3 and a half or a game and whatever, I can understand why that starts pissing people off. Because that again, we seem to be breaking the same sort of records that we did under Ange. Is where we have basically seen now over, let's say, what would you say it is? Is it a third of the season that's 10, 20, 30? Let's just say a quarter of the season is done. Just to round it off, Yeah, right. And after the first third, we're looking at it and we're seeing, can you actually see there's improvement there? No. You can look at 1 or 2 bits and say, okay, maybe that bit improved a little bit, but that bit definitely hasn't. And we've now literally been pushed off a cliff again. And it just looks no different now over the past few games, bar PSG. But again, that was a game we did get schooled on by the better team. But the effort was put into it. They manned up for it a bit, got stuck into it a bit, is the way I put it. And it is at that point now where we're just looking at it and it's like, well, we're basically doing, we look no different to what we did under Ange. And I think that is the other bit where it's pushing on him. And at the start, he already had 2/3 of the fan base on him, basically. The ones who wanted Ange out, the ones who don't like pragmatic football, he already had a lot of fans on his case.
Yeah. See, I think we looked very different under Ange, but everyone was complaining at how boring it was. So I kind of get it. But look, as I said, Dan, what will be will be. We're going around in circles as a football club. If a new manager comes in, you know what, Dan? We'll play this game again. We'll all play this game again. We'll all talk about what he needs. We'll all talk about backing him. We'll all talk about give him patience, build a club, rebuild, process, plan, project phase. And then as soon as things don't go well, we're going to be right back to this club can't cope with Spurs. This club. And by the way, Dan, I do very much agree with you on this sentiment. I hear all the time, but we're Spurs, but we're Spurs, but we're Spurs. I don't think we are this massive club that fans think we are, right?
No.
We're not this massive, massive club. For me, let's concentrate on building and being a club we want to build. Have a philosophy, build that philosophy, buy good players. But right now, look, I'm going to end the show. Look, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to say, Dan, from the point of view of I'm not dying on a hill for anyone right now. I'm not dying on a hill. I'm just so concerned about what happens at this club if we are bringing in a manager in June, right? And then we are sacking the manager by December. I can see that being a vicious cycle for a very, very long time. But hey, it is what it is.
I agree.
Look, it is what it is. And what's going to happen is what's going to happen. What I do want to start seeing from the club is solutions. I'm so bored of, I'm really bored of the point scoring. It's not gone well. It's not working. Things need to change, whether that's Frank changing it from within or Spurs changing, right? But I want solutions. Let's not go and make the same mistake again, Dan. Just bring in a bloke, change nothing with the personnel and say, go on, mate, make us brilliant. Because what I'm going to do when we get a new manager, if we get a new manager, Dan, I'm going to make a prediction for the first 10 games under the manager and his second 10 games, right? And I bet you what you'll see is a new manager bounce in the first, especially in the first 4 or 5 games, where everyone raises their game. We do well and we go much better. And then I think they're all going to settle down and we'll go back to, fucking hell, this team's shit. Look, let me do, first of all, thank you to Nigel at Pure Coys who bought me a coffee. Thank you so much, buddy. He just said, have a coffee on me or a mince pie, either or. Happy December the 1st. Happy December the 1st to you as well. Let's hope that we have a happy December the 2nd away at Newcastle. That's going to be a long 90 minutes. George, thank you. Also bought me a coffee and said, always enjoy your shows. Hope you get to 30k subs soon. It is what it is. I've hardly grown lately and it is what it is. And also massive thank you to Jordan Coys. Always super generous to me, this guy. Said what we saw against Fulham on Saturday, we've seen those performances and results under every manager since the final year of Poch. It does not make Frank unaccountable, but our recruitment needs to be so much better. You know what, Jordan? I think this is the thing. Under every manager, we go through these stages of having results where we go, this is the worst I've seen since boom. This is the worst I've seen since boom. We should be beating these. And it seems to be a vicious cycle, doesn't it? And I remember these games under Conte. I remember these games under Jose. I remember them under Nuno, under Ange. We're now seeing them under Frank. Who knows, mate? Thank you so much, buddy. You are way too generous to me. You truly, truly are. Dan, please, people, get over to the Hotspur Hood channel, please, and smash the subscribe button for him. Perchy and I'll be back at 6:30 for the What We're Doing a podcast, and then we'll send you over to Stel, Johnny, Lubo, and Sean for the Spurs 5. Much love. Take care. Let me see if there's anyone I can send you over to. Bear with me 1 second. Don't know if there's any Spurs content creators that are live. Let me have a look. Can't see anyone that's live. I'll send you over to Donna Sam. When you get there, just say Savva Raid or FHTV Raid. Much love. Take care. Please remember, people, we are fans. We are not the ones who decide which manager goes, which manager stays. We are just football fans and we all want success. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.